This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to you. The Oilers take on the Habs in about 25 minutes time, as it is an important Sunday I was going to say Sunday night matchup for the Oilers, following a Saturday night matchup in which beating the Leafs in convincing style started the Tristan Jarry era with a bang. We're looking to see what the Oilers can manage to do here today against the Habs. Obviously, that's the part and parcel of why we're live this evening, is just simply trying to figure out if the Oilers can continue their winning ways over the past little bit, right? That Buffalo overtime game, a little bit of a setback, but nothing all too bad to come back from. And obviously, the win against the Leafs, a big part in that. So, for the Oilers right now, as it stands, we just got to go out there and do exactly what we did against the Leafs, exactly what we did against the Kraken and Jets, and obviously keep with the good times rolling here in the month of December. The Oilers are climbing the standings. They're, a few points out of really first place at this point. I know 5 or 6, depending on the night, the last few days. But what we really need to look at here is you keep gaining 2 points. Vegas, Anaheim, at some point they're going to fall off, or they're going to have a down stretch, and the Oilers will be able to close the gap right quick with them and get going just like that. So that is, of course, the part and parcel of tonight. Like I said, go with get the 2 points. A big effort from Calvin Pickard, a big effort from the secondary scoring, I think, is something I want to see desperately, whether it be today, tomorrow, or soon. The Oilers need to get it going. Max Jones in the lineup for the Oilers this evening against the Canadiens. He comes in for David Tomaszek, who's still just trying to figure it out at the NHL level, and that's fine. You know what? Tomaszek, he's looked good when he's been good, and he's had some stuff to work on when he's had stuff to work on. So for the Oilers, a guy that, might end up finding some time in the minors here by the new year once guys start getting healthy. And you know what? For right now, just a guy who's happy to be here and happy to be making somewhat of an impact on this Oilers roster, about 5 points or something this year. So hopefully that's where it keeps going for the Oilers, is, the depth guys have contributed something. Just a little bit more would be nice. So welcome aboard this evening to Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard. Let's go quickly here, get the old poll set up, as we often do once the live stream's live. Who do you think wins tonight? That's the big question, as it always is. And, at some point this year, I will get this poll thing started correctly. Don't you worry about me. Let's go here. And Oilers, Habs. Start poll. All right, let's get this going here. There you have it. You can start voting now if you want, as the Oilers and Canadiens, like I said, get underway around 5:10. I think would probably be the start time for the Oilers and Habs tonight. I don't think I've seen Jason Gregor or any of the regulars usually tweet that stuff out yet. So just waiting for that news as it goes here tonight. Again, your starting goaltender for the Oilers is, of course, Calvin Pickard. Sam Montembeault likely for the Montreal Canadiens. Talk about a goaltending matchup that's same for same here. Montembeault with an .857 save percentage and a .365 goals against average this season. The Oilers are a positive in the goals for versus goals against category for the first time in a long while this season. The Montreal Canadiens are heavily giving up more goals. They're one of the 5 teams worse than the Oilers this year, by the way, in terms of goals against, and only .319 goals for per game. So see what happens. Leon Draisaitl, do we want to talk about him for 5 minutes? Do we want to maybe have a conversation about Draisaitl and what he's on the precipice of doing here tonight? Toast, good evening to you. As I will tell you, Leon Draisaitl, 1 point away from 1,000 in his career. One would almost guarantee, with the Montreal Canadiens kind of being a team that, is a 76% penalty kill. You might see Leon Draisaitl from Connor McDavid from his spot there on the right side score a big old goal to get .1000 going. I think that's just exactly where I see it going tonight for the Oilers and Mr. Leon Draisaitl, who will hit 1,000 tonight. At least you'd assume. I think it's safe to assume that the Oilers will see Leon Draisaitl hit 1,000 points tonight. So I know we've had some other stuff here as well going on for the Oilers the past few days. I know the trade for, of course, Tristan Jarry, the trade for Sam Poulin, the trade for Spencer Stastny, who, again, right, I think the book on Stastny is maybe he's not the most physical guy, but I think everything you saw from the Oilers defense last night was good enough to win most games. And the big thing is for the Oilers, I know everybody will say, well, the Oilers aren't going to win giving up 5 goals against the Panthers. The Oilers aren't going to win scoring 1 goal a game against the Panthers either. I'm sorry, it's physically impossible for the Oilers to win a game against the Panthers consistently in Game 7, Game 6, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, scoring only 1 or 2 goals. The Oilers have to at least in the Cup Final be outputting 3 goals a night. If you win, if you win 1-0, 2-1, you got lucky. That's unfortunately, and that's not an indictment on the Oilers defense or the goaltending or the offense. It's just, again, the Oilers are not built like that, no matter how good the defense is at times, no matter how good the goaltending is. As an Oilers fan, you just can't feel comfortable about that, so it's kind of tough right now. That said, holiday Christmas party season in full effect, my friends. I'm going to speak to the designated drivers in the old chat right now for a matter of moments. Get on the old high horse here and preach a little bit. Definitely make sure you're getting designated drivers out there and getting you around if you need a ride. Obviously, rideshare services and stuff very critical this time of year, friends. So, went through my first check stop in probably since 2017, first check stop I've been through. And just definitely a good reminder, hey, I'm doing a good thing by driving my friends around after a long night of partying at various places across the Calgary area. But same rate too, if you're doing the designated driver thing, thank you so much for doing that. And I do appreciate everybody making, for some people it's a sacrifice on a night out, and some people it's just a thing they do, and that's kind of where I'm at. So appreciate everybody doing that and staying safe and making sure your friends get home safe. That's what it is at the end of the day. All right, enough off the high horse here. Let's go to quickly see if there's anything else we've missed. Of course, if you haven't, go over to the old Dolynny TV, the Dolynny TV X Twitter account, whatever they call it, and go find the highlight from the Bakersfield Condors. Ike Howard put the game on ice last night against the Tucson Roadrunners. Max Jones returns to the Oilers lineup for the first time this season. It's been a weird year, and everybody would say, why not Quinn Hudson? I will tell you why not Quinn Hudson. It simply comes down to Max Jones is going to play about 6 minutes and 30 seconds tonight. That's, again, the reason why Connor Clattenburg got the recall instead of some other guys. That's, again, the reason why Max Jones will as well. When you're looking for an energy, just big body, hard-hitting kind of guy, that's really the next guy up for the Oilers in the system. So Max Jones, ultimately the guy that gets the call. He comes in for David Tomaszek. Tonight, Calvin Pickard starts against the Montreal Canadiens. Sam Montembeault likely. I believe it was Jacob Fowler that started for the Canadiens yesterday, so similar to us, it should be the other guy going for the squad tonight. I would love to see for Pickard. I think if we're going just quickly back to the hockey, is just Pickard needs a big performance here. The team voted in favor of him over Skinner a few weeks back, and that's a big vote of confidence when you've got Leon and Connor voicing, we want you, not the other guy. So now Calvin's got to pay that back to his teammates, come up with a big effort after Tristan Jarry won his first game as an Oiler, and get the job done here for the Oilers and get this road trip rocking for the Oilers. I mean, oh man, if the Oilers can keep dummying it here, that would be absolutely fantastic. So we'll see what happens. But for the Oilers, I mean, 3.41 goals per game, easily another 4 or 5 tonight kind of keeps us going. And in fact, it's actually going to be Dolynny that starts for the Canadiens. Okay, maybe I don't know anything about the Canadiens. It's kind of been a few years since I had to keep up with them. 3.15 goals against average and an .887 save percentage for Dolynny, who has 10 wins, 5 losses, and 2 OT losses. So the Canadiens, I guess, have been able to outscore their problems with Dolynny in net. That's about all it seems for the Canadiens. And I know Fowler had the 1 win, but that's kind of where we're at. So that's interesting. Okay, so there you go. Maybe Montreal carrying 3 goalies right now. Like I said, it's been years since I had to actually keep up and understand what they're doing. So this is just kind of where we're at as we get closer and closer to the 5 o'clock. Road to the Winter Classic is on Sportsnet right now before the Oilers game, by the way. Talking about the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers getting going here for the Winter Classic on January 2nd. That is going to be an all-time interesting matchup down there in Florida. I know the ice technology, we've moved past that conversation years ago. But, for the Rangers, kind of a big season this year. For the Florida Panthers, celebrating what's been a big 2 years the past 2. So kind of nifty to see some other teams finally getting mixed into the Winter Classic. That's something that everybody was complaining about. Enough Chicago, enough Detroit, enough Pittsburgh. Let's get somebody else going here. And now we finally do in the Florida Panthers. And maybe one day they're going to expand the Winter Classic to be somebody like a Canadian team. I think did they do that with Toronto and Detroit that one year, or was that still the Heritage Classic? I can't remember, but you get where I'm going with that. So for the Oilers tonight, Calvin Pickard in net, 3-3-2 record, 404 goals against average, and an 851 save percentage. Like I said in this morning's video, if Pickard can come up with 2 goals against or less tonight, make 20 plus saves for the Oilers, things will really, really work out in favor of his numbers. Now you have a goalie that's in the 3s. In terms of goals against average, you have a save percentage that hopefully, man, if he has a great night, gets closer to 865 than 851. And again, for the Oilers, the success will come, as it always does, on the power play. The success will come when the secondary scoring is accidentally putting pucks in the net like they sometimes do. And the success will come from usually a big night in terms of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl, who, by the way, if you're just tuning in, trying to hit 1,000 points on his NHL career. Yeah, we had that milestone a little ago for Connor. Now we'll have it for Leon, and we'll have ourselves one heck of a time celebrating our boys getting going here with what is now starting to turn the schedule in a positive manner. That is for sure. The Oilers are really starting to, get going and really starting to get the idea rolling here in terms of winning hockey games, climbing the standings, and doing the thing that they do best, which is really just make us happy. So 15 wins, 11 losses, and 6 OT losses for the Oilers. It's crazy what the last 2.5 weeks has done for the Oilers. The Montreal Canadiens 16, 11, and 4 on the season. So, they're having a great year. We're both 4th in our divisions, just kind of having and enjoying our time. But it's just kind of silly in terms of, the Canadiens are bad with goal differential and are where they are. And the Oilers are just kind of starting to get going, and they are where they are. So, well, welcome to try and understand Oilers hockey in the month of December. Friends, to the poll we go here. As we understand, we got 19 votes, 74% in favor of the Oilers, 26% in favor of the Habs. The Canadiens, well, again, that Atlantic division, if they win, they could probably jump up to first place. That's kind of the way that Atlantic is going right now. So definitely would be interesting to see what the benefits for Montreal would be based on winning tonight's hockey game. For the Oilers, though, all that matters is winning, getting the back-to-back done, and obviously turning up a result in which, hey, the Oilers win this one tonight. And you won against Toronto last night. That's 2 games where you typically struggle heavily, especially out east. The Oilers normally against Toronto, it's kind of nightmare fuel. I think a lot of the old guard of Oilers media last night were talking about how this is just last night's Oilers game against the Leafs was one of, if not the best games in a long while played by the Oilers in Toronto, right? There was some calls back to the 80s for the last great game the Oilers played against the Leafs in Toronto. And then tonight against Montreal, I feel like we've been shut out like 2 or 3 times in the past 5 years in Montreal. So I guarantee at least tonight the Oilers, the way they're clipping, shouldn't be shut out. Dobish, he's a great goalie. There's some people that wanted him here as a top trade target there for a little while when he just first started getting going in the NHL. So yeah, we'll see what the Oilers feature against Dobish and the Montreal Canadiens tonight. as we keep rolling along, I don't think there's much else to say. I've almost stammered my way to, 5 o'clock, eh? Look at me go. I do want to say from Chris Knoblauch's presser today, right, that they released right before the game this evening and before I fired up the stream, it's just kind of nice to see, Knoblauch not having to combat problems for the Oilers that, the media is asking about. It was kind of nifty to see him, even the Montreal media just asking him, what's the difference having a guy like Jari come in after you lose two key pieces, and Knoblauch being able to just brush off what would be a heavy topic, especially if you're losing. Here instead, you're where you are in the standings now. You picked up the win with the new goaltender, and he's like, it just kind of sucks to have lost a couple of key pieces, great players, but now you bring in somebody that's an upgrade and somebody who, has had success right out of the gate. So it's exciting to see from an Oilers fan perspective, at least, that maybe things are going to simmer down a little bit here, as they typically do between December, January, and then we can get into February, we can get into the Olympics, we can kind of take our mind off the Oilers outside of, the reports that come out on the bi-daily or weekly stuff from Elliot Friedman and some other insiders. And then, Canada wins gold, hopefully. And then, go from there. Really just get the Oilers going for trade deadline immediately after the Olympics. And then away we go with a big old victory of a season, really. I think the Oilers, are poised right now the way they're playing. If the goaltending stabilizes out and starts getting results, and I know that's part and parcel with the defense getting some results and the offense scoring more goals, if everything starts taking care of itself like it so often does in Edmonton once the calendar flips and the injuries stop piling up and guys get healthy, you look at who we're missing, it's going to be a good time to be an Oilers fan. Come the spring, I know I was talking with one of the bartenders at Old Town Pizza in Airdrie last night, and it's kind of like, the Oilers, we say, if you don't match up against anyone except, or if you match up against anyone except Florida, we probably win the cup. And then there's like, well, if we match up against Florida, maybe this is also the year. And then it's like, well, what about LA? At some point, we're going to keep running into LA in the first round, and at some point, they are going to beat us. Now, am I worried about Ken Holland and the Oilers' new old boys club that he's assembled in LA? Not really, but again, it's just kind of where we're at right now. We just need to maybe keep winning and avoid LA a little bit when it comes to the first round of the playoffs. That might be a good idea from an Oilers fan perspective this year, just saying. So, all right, well, we're on 5 o'clock watch. Enough ranting and raving here. We should be ready to rock and roll. Pickard versus Dobej tonight. 3.41 goals per game for the Oilers. If you're setting a benchmark, I think the Oilers are hitting 5 tonight. I think I'm, 3-0 this season, one live streaming, the Carolina game, the Kraken game, the Jets game, and then all of a sudden I dipped off the face of the earth there for a few days this week. Pardon me. It was kind of a really tough week trying to figure my life out and get some problems sorted. Communication amongst professionals in industries today, like today as in nowadays, not very great. So we're battling that and trying to get it going. The Montreal Canadiens for the Oilers tonight against themselves as well for the Oilers, putting Calvin Pickard in net, and of course trying to keep the defense as steady as it was against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's where we're at. Everybody, welcome aboard here tonight. The chat's starting to light up. Fox and Alley, welcome in. As the Oilers, we've got Gene Principe on our channels right now. Life's good. We're talking about Gene's possible new hairstyles, according to Sportsnet today. As, Draisaitl, 999 points. Game 823 will be 0.1000, 416 goals, 583 assists. This is the hardest part about not having won a Stanley Cup yet as an Edmonton Oilers fan in the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl area. You're talking about the next two best Oilers to ever suit up outside of Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier. I understand Jari Kurri, Paul Coffey, all that. It really doesn't matter because, again, Jari Kurri, Paul Coffey were the support players to one, the guy, Wayne Gretzky, and Mark Messier. And unfortunately, Connor and Leon are in those shoes, not the support shoes. So absolutely insane to see this the way it's going for the Oilers. And maybe this is the year, like I'm saying. Hopefully it is. Leon's, had a big year already. So we'll see if he can cap it off here against Montreal with a big time .1000. And he's got points in 11 of his last 12 games against the Canadiens, by the way. Super good evening to you here. So, yeah, that I guess would be the idea as well. The Red Wings, I was trying to clue into who the Oilers played on Thursday. I mean, like I said, my life was a scramble all week, so pardon me for not knowing. But, yeah, the Oilers played the Red Wings. That was a big result. So we've just been climbing up the standings here the last few games. And now it's just coming down to it for the Oilers. Get this win against Montreal. Suddenly you have a really good looking record. You're at 38 points. You're starting to get within striking distance of first. 2 good weeks from here after a win tonight could get you into first. So that's where we're at. Taylor, unfortunately the game will not play on this live, but I will have your play-by-play. Some folks like the old television replay, play-by-play radio style. Some folks don't. That's all fine and dandy. I'm just here to hopefully keep you as in tune with the game as possible. And, of course, a little bit of banter back and forth about the game as well along the way. Try to keep the focus on the play-by-play until the Oilers turn it into a laugher like they have against the Jets and Kraken the last 2 times out. Let me tell you, it's all fun and games to do the play-by-play when the game's great. And then all of a sudden when the game doesn't matter anymore, you can kind of lay back and have some laughs and enjoy a great night chatting with everybody excited to see the Oilers win this evening. So the Oilers closing in on puck drop here in a matter of moments. It's 5:04. Jack and Louie talking things over in the broadcast group, broadcast location. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Sorry, I read Super's comment. The real life occupation. Well, that would be sheet metal, my friends. I'm doing a lot of furnaces, ACs, and all that stuff, and keeping the tin rolling, the building in Calgary going, and great little industry to be in. Trust me, when you're going to Nate for radio and television and everybody tells you you went to Nate and you didn't go for the trades, what are you doing? And then shortly after, radio and TV doesn't pan out. It does here on Dolynny TV, but it doesn't pan out in real life. And then all of a sudden, shortly after, you find yourself wrapped up in the trades. Quite interesting how life works out sometimes. So there you have it. As we keep rolling here, we are a commercial break away from getting this puck dropped. I guess it'll be a one anthem game. Of course, that's one thing I've kind of been missing here this past few games. We watched the Detroit feed. Me and my buddy, I was over at his house this week, spending some time there, just trying to figure my life out. And so spent some time at his place in Airdrie, and we watched the Detroit feed of the game. And they didn't do the anthems. So then Hockey Night in Canada, I didn't get to watch the anthems for the Oilers because Main Street kind of dropped the ball a little bit there on a Saturday night and prioritized the Montreal Canadiens and New York Rangers. Fair enough. Maybe they have contingent fans of the Canadiens that come to the bar on Saturday night. I don't know. But then we ended up over at Old Town there, and we got the Oilers game sorted out, and we watched from the end of the first onward. So good to go there. So that's how we roll. Oh, tea's not the greatest choice. You guys know I'm normally on the water, just trying to get the tea going on a Sunday night. So, hey, day off tomorrow. Hey, woo! Last one of the year before we get going to the new year. Bobby Rousseau passed away. 85 years old. Looks like he was a former Canadiens player. So we're going to have a moment of silence for the fallen Montreal Canadiens player from what would that be? Probably from the mid-50s to the early 60s there for Bobby Rousseau. I feel like I've definitely read that name in my hockey history books that caught me up to speed when I was about just about 10 years old, I think. So we're going to get things going here. Oh, no, we're going to have a whole duo, actually. So we're going to have a little bit of a delay getting towards tonight's game, friends, as far as I'm seeing, unless this is the Montreal Canadiens anthem singer. Like I said, it's been years since I've had to keep up with the Habs on a regular basis. Used to have a pretty good reason to. Nowadays, and usually it's just Depression Alley every time the Habs win against the Oilers. So we have the anthems. It was not a delay. We're good. I'm on track. All right. So, Evan Bouchard, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, Mattias Ekholm out there on the ice for the Oilers to start tonight's game. The Oilers look like they're going to try and heat things up right out of the gates. Of course, Jacob Dobish in net for the Montreal Canadiens tonight. The Canadiens, who surprisingly, despite their terrible stats, have a 16-11-4 record. The Oilers have been riding high here the last 2 weeks, specifically with some big victories against Seattle, against Winnipeg, and against Detroit, and against Toronto. Now trying to take it against Montreal as well in the back half of a back-to-back. Toronto-Montreal, 2 nights, 2 victories. That sounds good to me. That would be absolutely fantastic. Quality good evening to you as we get things rolling throughout Canada here on the broadcast side, friends. Thank you for being aboard for the pregame edition here on Dolynny TV. We are going to have ourselves one heck of a hockey game here tonight. I think, like I said, if you're throwing down anything, I don't give betting advice, but the Oilers have scored a heck of a lot of goals every game I've live streamed this year, just saying. So here we go. The anthems up and done for the Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers. Let's do this, friends. A game out east for the Oilers here this evening. Of course, in the big old Montreal. It's a big Saturday night, so let's see what we can do with Calvin Pickard in net for the Edmonton Oilers tonight. 3-3-2 record, 404 goals against average, 851 save percentage on the year. Like I said, 20 plus saves, 2 or less goals against. His numbers start looking fantastic pretty quickly. Just saying. And then Dobish in net there for the Montreal Canadiens, 10-5-2, 315, 887. So, again, Stuart Skinner was better than that guy. And that's the guy that's winning all the games for the Montreal Canadiens. Go figure, huh? All right. Tristan Jarry on the bench for the Oilers. One last sip of tea here. And let's do this. Connor McDavid will take the opening face-off for the Edmonton Oilers at center ice at the Bell Center as the Oilers look to keep rolling against the Canadiens here. Obviously, pretty good start to the month of December. The Canadiens off the draw, fire it into the Oilers' territory. Around the left wing boards into the near side. The Oilers will pick up inside their own zone. Bouchard throws a hit right out of the gate on one of the Montreal Canadiens players. Who would have known, as this one's going to be picked up by the Canadiens, and we're going to have a stoppage in play as the official inside the Oilers' territory in the near side corner tangled up, it looked like possibly with Bouchard and the Montreal Canadiens player that he turfed. Well, he might have also turfed the official as he's down in a heap in that near side corner. Broadcast view, 15 seconds, 16 seconds gone so far for the Oilers and Canadiens. And yeah, tough go here for the official, who just gets going, obviously gets the pregame skate in there, and now all of a sudden he is down in a heap of distress. The Montreal Canadiens trainer out there tending to him right now. He's going to get to his feet, and looks like he is going to take a moment while standing. The fans applaud the effort of the official to get back up onto his feet. And let's see where we get going here, as the official's going to just kind of skate around a little bit. Ekholm's trying to survey the situation for the Oilers, as actually it's Ekholm on the clearing attempt, that took down the official. I had no clue where the official was. Ekholm tried to clear the zone, and that's how the Canadiens gained possession of that puck right there, as Ekholm took him down, and then he fell awkwardly after being hit. So 19:44 to go in the first period of play. Looks like he's going to continue on here, so that's good news for the Oilers. They don't have to go to any weird 3-ref system or anything like that, as we will have the official chat with Calvin Pickard. Of course, you know Pickard cares about everybody, wants to make sure everybody's good out there, and knows almost everybody in the NHL, by the way. That's why the Oilers kept him. So we'll see how this pans out, as Ekholm will go off on a line change just 15 seconds into the night. How often when Ekholm and Bouchard start a game, they go for a line change just 16 seconds into the game? The Canadiens win the face-off. We're going to re-drop it again. Suzuki, the captain of the Canadiens, will flip it back to the official here. And Draisaitl now on the ice for the Oilers. He will look on this shift for .1000. Podkolzin had himself a night last night in Toronto. And we'll see if the Oilers can continue that here tonight with the secondary scoring. The Canadiens, a shot from the blue line. It, well, filtered through off the blocker of Pickard. He makes the save. Nurse in behind his own net. Slow to get there. Suzuki's going to go chasing it to the near side corner. All four battling there inside the Oilers' territory. Regula was able to poke it free. Podkolzin bodies up the attacker, and he's able to push it out to Draisaitl, who gets it over to Darnell Nurse. Nurse down the right wing, Canadian zone. Takes down his man, gets it to the point, and he will still be tangled up there, where Draisaitl will look to come out of the corner on the far side with it. Dancing with the official, he's able to get back to the blue line. Here's Nurse. The point shot is just a pass down the right wing. Nurse going to bounce it again down the right wing. It turnstiles all the way through to the far side corner. I'm going to have to turn off this heater, by the way. A little hot. As the Canadiens will pick it up inside their own territory and just move out as the Oilers' attack rather dies weakly. And the Oilers will see the Canadiens retreat in behind Dobish here. The Canadiens bounce it off the boards, turn over to the Edmonton Oilers, and then the Oilers just barely do anything with it. And a breakaway for the Montreal Canadiens as my television freezes live right there. That's great. That's awesome. Okay, that's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. We're good with that. As the Oilers were doing some damage there, and now here's the Canadiens in on attack, and Pickard with the big old save on the breakaway. You love to see that, so at least it continued on so I could see what happens. As the Oilers inside their own territory, far side corner, a couple of passes. Bouchard's out of the zone, carrying it forward for the Oilers across the line, back to McDavid. McDavid's going to spin down the wall in towards the net on Dobish. He ends up in behind. Forces the puck in front. It can't find Nugent Hopkins, and this puck will come down near side for the Canadiens across the Oilers line. Back to the far side point. Canadiens rotating high point. Shot through traffic. Hits Pickard. Big save there for the Oilers. And now Montreal, getting a few shots on goal, and the Oilers at least standing tall. Another shot from the near side point goes wide into the far side corner, back to the high point. And I'm fighting the old television freezing up here on me. I don't know what's going on here. I wonder if it's getting a little windy outside or whatever. But the Oilers and Canadiens, a hot start so far. And obviously Montreal getting the better of the chances thus far in this one. And it looks like I'm just going to hit the old refresh on the old television here. Sorry, friends. Especially if you're trying to keep up with the game. As that's a tough go as the old television just freezes up there on me. And having some issues here lately. But here we go. The Oilers back at the blue line. The Canadiens rolling around in the neutral territory, looking to move things back towards the Oilers zone. 17:42 to go in this first period of play. The Oilers pick up the puck. Frederick guides it back, and it'll be ripped up the wall by Stastny. Picked up by the Canadiens inside their own territory. Near side board bounce to the blue line, to the far side, and across the Oilers line they go. Demidov. Demidov against Stastny. There's a little bit of physicality from Stastny. Keeps possession for the Canadiens, though. Shot through traffic. And Pickard, as he so often does, doesn't look comfortable making the save, but nonetheless he does. With 17:19 to go in this first period of play, 3 shots for the Canadiens, none for the Oilers thus far. Slafkovsky just about took a big old knee on knee there at one point, as the Oilers and Canadiens obviously engaged early on here, and Pickard so far so good. Keeping the puck out of the net thus far, as a couple of shots from the outside there hitting Pickard in awkward spots, but he's making the catches. All right, 17:19 to go. The far side face off inside the Oilers territory. Near side now for Struble. He's going to fire the shot through traffic. It's worked out back to the blue line. Struble able to keep it on side. Nurse battling his man in the corner. Picked up by Mangiapane on the bounce. Lazard gloves it ahead and gets it over to Regula, who fires it in for the Oilers. Far side corner, it bounces all the way past the Canadiens defender coming back for the puck. So the Canadiens will be forced to flip it back to the Oilers defense. Regula retreating, now fires it up the ice. Here's Lazar across the Canadiens line, pushing to the backhand. He's pushed down by one of the Canadiens defenders. I think that's Carrier. And it'll be picked up by the Canadiens and over their zone center ice. Flip into the far side corner. Oilers territory picked up by Darnell Nurse as the game slows down for a brief moment. Bouchard with the puck while the Oilers complete line changes here. Bouchard out from behind Pickard. 16.5 to go in the first period of play. Up the middle, got it off a skate here. Darting in is Podkolzin. Of course, Podkolzin's got a very important job tonight, trying to get Leon Draisaitl .1000 as soon as possible. The Canadiens at the Oilers line. Will flip it all the way to Ekholm at the face-off dot inside Oilers territory to the left of Pickard. Puck's bouncing around the zone. Now a nice play by Draisaitl to corral it, and now tipped in by Podkolzin as Draisaitl and Podkolzin pour in on the right wing. The Canadiens played in behind their own net. Hudson sees it cut off there by Draisaitl briefly, and now completely as Draisaitl gets it back to the blue line. Savoy recovers just about out of the zone. Shot by Ekholm off the pads of Dobish, and here comes Draisaitl now on the near side recovery. Trying to battle out of the corner as he guides it over to Savoy. Now to Podkolzin. Podkolzin along the wall. He's going to see it elude Bouchard at the blue line on the Canadiens clear. And here now Ekholm inside his own territory. Getting it back to the center ice area. And then Draisaitl with an absolute lazy turnover. And a big time block shot there off the stick of Bouchard to keep that from being a big scoring chance for the Montreal Canadiens. Whew, that was an ugly turnover from Draisaitl. We know those are in his game, and there's Max Jones throwing his first hit of the game earlier on a few moments ago. And the Oilers so far not doing terrible here against Montreal, but definitely not flying quite as much as they normally have the last few games. So, to be expected. Max Jones, by the way, down there in Bakersfield, 7 points in 17 games with the Bakersfield Condors. He's been having himself a year so far. Henrique's going to be waved out of the face-off dot. In comes Trent Frederick, of course, who can play a little bit of center time to time. 15:24 to go here in this first period of play. Face-off's back behind the Oilers' net as Emberson will take over with his new D partner Spencer Stastny. Pass across the neutral zone, bobbles a couple of times and works out perfect for Stastny, who will roll it down low in behind the Canadiens' net. And now the Canadiens with the puck will fire it up to the neutral territory. A poke check there by Emberson denies the entry by the Canadiens, and the Habs will take over at their own blue line as the Oilers just can't make a pass through the neutral. Demidov slides by the check of Emberson, loses the puck. Stastny behind the Oilers' net will pass up to the right wing and get it back into the Canadiens' territory, and back and forth and rope and dope we go, as there's really not much in terms of zone control from either team so far. Pickard with a couple of saves. Dobish has been tested once, and the Oilers and Canadiens are having themselves a expected start to the hockey game, I think would be a way to put it. As there you have on the bench, second of a 5-game road trip for the Oilers. So again, tonight is a big one, because at least tonight, if you win this one, you can guarantee that even if you lose the next 3, you lose one in overtime, it's a 500 road trip, which again is kind of par for the course for the Oilers in the first half of the year. Here's McDavid in behind the Canadiens' net. McDavid out in front, trying to find Regula, who's playing a little bit of forward with that big frame in front of Dobish. Here's McDavid now near side point. He's going to spin off the defender twice, pass it back to the line for the Oilers' defensive Darnell Nurse for Regula. Back down into the corner, and there's going to be a call coming up as a player just got buried. That was McDavid, and I'm surprised that Darnell Nurse is not coming in. McDavid drew the penalty. The Oilers don't want to give up the first power play chance of the game, and that might be another call on Regula there. The Canadiens might be going down 5-on-3 here, as here's Nurse, the shot down low to McDavid. McDavid will skate right towards the net on a quick pivot move, and the Canadiens will take over, and the whistle will blow as McDavid's asking if there's 2 penalties on the play. And I wonder if there will be. I don't have volume, so that's the tough part here. But McDavid and Draisaitl will get a good look. Nonetheless, 5-on-4, 5-on-3 don't matter here to make this one get going, a 1-0 lead for the Oilers. So that's just a tough go, as Regula gets hooked and McDavid gets buried into the boards. It just kind of is what it is. As McDavid, that's the tough part about his game, and I'm surprised it doesn't happen more. Those little pivots along the wall lead him to kind of being thrown into the wall like that, and half the time it's a penalty, half the time it's not. If McDavid does it, it's a suspension, but it's just kind of where it is, right? I mean, at least McDavid doesn't seem to get injured all the time when that happens. That's a great thing for the Oilers, and we'll see if the Oilers can capitalize here on the power play. Friends, if you're new to the live streams, good evening to you. Thanks for being aboard. This is Dolynny TV. I'd love if you'd consider hitting that subscribe button here on the channel. We're closing in on 20,000 subscribers. The goal is before the World Juniors get going here to get to 18,500, and then let the World Juniors do the talking to get us here to 20,000. But yeah, definitely would appreciate you subscribing, coming back for more Oilers content. It's a lot more video focused nowadays than live stream focused, but trying to remix the mix a little bit here and get the live streams going as well. And of course, you can get you get your random updates throughout the day when I have a few brief moments at work and it's break time to take an old short on YouTube and get that done in about 5 minutes. So the Oilers, so far, so good. I mean, the Canadiens, so far, so good as well. I know they're short-handed here, but we're not gonna worry too much, as you know, it's early on in the game. The game so far has looked kind of exactly like you'd expect for both teams being on the back half of a back-to-back. So we'll just see what happens as the game continues along here. And the Oilers obviously showing some highlights here from earlier in the year when Draisaitl scored that big goal and Josh Anderson did what he did there, clapping the official. It was a big game for the Oilers. It was kind of, honestly, you lose that one against Montreal earlier in the year. First off, my mental health spirals. But then as well, you probably have some other situations for the Oilers where things don't go well. But it's going to be a full two-man advantage for the next 2 minutes for the Oilers. So they indeed did get it going in terms of, the Regula hook and the McDavid boarding or whatever that was. As we'll go here for Evans against Draisaitl. Drew, welcome aboard. Art, welcome back in. Order, welcome in as well, as we have the Oilers getting underway here. Bouchard at the blue line. Over to McDavid. Over to Draisaitl. Couldn't queue up the one-timer as Draisaitl bounced it off his skates. Here's Draisaitl shooting that puck and looking for a hop off of either Nugent Hopkins or Hyman. He couldn't do it. Here's Bouchard over to McDavid. Down low to Nugent Hopkins. Nuge will choose to go behind the net off the well-defended play by the Canadiens. Here's Draisaitl again. An unclean pass over from McDavid, as McDavid will shoot the puck, and he probably got the go ahead there in a good shooting lane from, of course, Leon Draisaitl looking for .1000. Draisaitl probably doesn't care so long as the Oilers get the 1-0 lead here as soon as possible. Here's now Nugent Hopkins over to Hyman. Oh my goodness, off the glove of Dolynny. What a save right there by Dolynny. Now oh geez, what a shot there from Draisaitl as Bouchard got it queued up for him. I don't know why I was going to go to the McDavid call, as Nugent Hopkins will rim it around. The Oilers running the Canadiens round here so far. A minute on this two-man advantage. Here's now McDavid down low looking for the tip pass off of Hyman's stick and into the back of the net. McDavid again. We're going down low. He's going to pass the puck right towards the front of the net for Hyman. Couldn't get the tip in front there either. McDavid back to Bouchard. Bouchard rips the shot up and out of play. So Dolynny, through a minute 20 of the penalty kill, survives a flurry of shots from the Oilers. 6 shots on goal now for the Oilers. 12:36 to go in this first period of play, and the Canadiens fans are loving it. Audio on the TV because of having to do the live stream the way I do, but man, oh man, the Canadiens fans are rocking the building, getting things rolling for what has been a good penalty kill so far for Dolynny and the Canadiens. So Draisaitl, he would have loved to have that one there on that rip, that's for sure. As here's Draisaitl going to take the face off against Jake Evans again. The battle at the dot as the linesman trying to get it queued up. Here's now McDavid, a good steal away. McDavid over to Draisaitl, wasn't ready for the one-timer. Here's Bouchard, the stick snaps as McDavid looking over for Draisaitl, and that will cost him as the Canadiens get the clear. Here's Pickard loading up Bouchard on the new stick as the McDavid will load through the neutral zone across in on net. Here's McDavid, solo effort onto the pad of Dolynny. Two-man advantage about to expire. 15 seconds to go. Bouchard over to McDavid. Draisaitl, the one-timer, queued off the pads of Dolynny. Over to McDavid. Back to Draisaitl. Draisaitl to Bouchard. The shot from the point hits Nugent Hopkins in front. Bouchard can't keep it in. And the two-man advantage expires for the Edmonton Oilers. What an effort from the Montreal Canadiens. 6 shots on the power play for the Oilers. 7 in the game so far. 11:45 to go in the first period. And if you want to talk about momentum, the Canadiens just grabbed it all. As here's Hudson bouncing it off the end wall. He'll get it around to the far side point. The Oilers keep it in. A tip off of Frederick's skates is going to maybe confuse the play a little bit for the Canadiens, but not enough to keep them from getting out of the zone as a bounce off the ice will elude Darnell Nurse. Canadian Suzuki there with the puck, gets it back to the blue line. Canadians to the net. The puck is going to flutter out of play. 11:15 to go. Pickard has 3 saves, Dolynny 7, and some $10 there in terms of just end of the day stopping the Oilers. Power play dead in its tracks as McDavid came in rushing and Dolynny just didn't overcommit. That one-timer by Draisaitl off the toe, as that was a tough go for the Oilers on that penalty or power play, as they just could not find a way to beat Dolynny again. there's a lot of reason why Oilers fans would have liked to see, if the Canadiens would have went any other way with their goaltending, to have maybe traded for that guy in the offseason. As here's Hudson, he's going to rip it off the wall. It'll come down for Darnell Nurse. Nurse will outlet to center ice. The Oilers desperately need to get the first goal of the game now. Here's Henrique dumping back to Frederic, who wasn't ready. Canadians steal it away, and then they pass it away as here comes, chasing into his own zone, the new guy, Spencer Stastny, across to the near side for Emerson, as Emerson will reverse around to the blue line, and it does get out. There was nobody waiting for the Canadians at the far side point of the Oilers' end, so that's a big win there for an Oilers defense that desperately needed to escape the zone. And another clear for Emerson. It's going to come down, not enough for icing into the Canadiens' territory. 10:38 to go in this first period of play. 7-3 the shots on goal for the Edmonton Oilers. Out from behind his own net to the far side. The Canadians go back to this neutral territory. Busting in. Here's Demidov. Stick check. Stops them. Oh, the Oilers defense has come to play tonight. Now the Canadians again another chance to shoot. Save made by Pickard up high, and then he steers one away, bobbling through his crease. 10:13 to go as the Oilers escape the zone here rather quickly on a play that maybe might have been a penalty. There were some arms up in the crowd for the Canadiens fans. And the Oilers, man, that sequence there just about looked like it was going to cost them, that's for sure, as my television's frozen up again. I'm not sure what's happening here tonight as the Oilers and Canadiens get across the line. The Oilers into the Canadiens' territory. Lazar with a hit that just kind of looked awkward as possible. I mean, Lazar didn't want to bury him into the boards, but wanted to make sure he knew he was there. So the Canadiens down the right wing inside Oilers' territory. Pickard helps it along on the dump in. Canadians at the point near side, able to keep it in the Oilers' territory as the Oilers. Just again, big key here is getting out of the zone, but it looks like we're going to have a hold against the Edmonton Oilers. And you know how Canadiens fans feel about the officiating against the Oilers from earlier this year. The 2 penalties to start the game, that's going to get you going. So that's the big cheer from the Canadian faithful as Regula will sit for a hold against Uri Slafkovsky here. And the Oilers, we'll see what they can do on the penalty kill. The Canadians came up on a 2-man disadvantage with one heck of an effort. Probably one of the biggest efforts you're going to see in a long while for this Canadiens team in that position against an Oilers power player. So you love to see it. If you're a Habs fan, not if you're an Oilers fan. That was a tough look on the 2-man advantage, that's for sure. The Oilers so far, hey, you know what? They have 3 hits tonight. That's decent. We'll take that. That's okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens there as the Oilers keep rolling throughout this period. It's obviously been pretty much as per expected for an Edmonton Oilers fan base tonight. So far, the results. I think you would have loved, like I said a few seconds ago, to have a power play goal, but to be 0-0 midway through the game against the Canadiens, I really don't think there's anything going on too much. But again, friends, if you are new to the channel, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV. Love to have you aboard. Like I said, we're pushing towards 18,500. That number doesn't really sound like it matters much. It's just a matter of getting within 1,500 of 20,000 before the World Juniors fire up. And Habs fans, Oilers fans, we can all agree on one thing. We love to see Team Canada win the World Juniors every single year. So hopefully this is the year the Team Canada gets back in the gold medal glory. And we'll have that live here on Dolynny TV throughout the holidays. Maybe not in the studio. Sounds like I might be house sitting. But Easy does it as we'll go out maybe over to Town Over and see what we can do to live stream the World Juniors from the couch. I've spent a lot of time on that couch, so won't be unfamiliar territory for me. Leon Draisaitl, friends, tonight chasing 0.1000 so far on 127 votes in the chat. 65 of you going for the Oilers. I think we've had some convincing chats where it's been about 80% Oilers. Tonight, though, as expected, we're seeing 35% for the Montreal Canadiens, despite this being a heavy Edmonton Oilers channel. So Draisaitl on the bench. Dobish, who had that great penalty kill there just a moment ago on the 2-man disadvantage. The Canadiens off and running on their power play, winning a battle. At the point now, Hudson over to the near side for Suzuki down into the corner. Canadiens power play just about as deadly as the Oilers, just maybe not with the results the Oilers have on the consistent basis. This one over to the far side. Pickard kicks it out. That one looked like vintage Mike Smith right there. Again, I said Pickard's a guy that looks like Mike Smith a lot of times. Not the greatest Mike Smith, but Mike Smith in some regard, and that's kind of exactly what Pickard just did to kick that one out. 9:05 to go in the first period of play. The Canadiens drop it back to Demidov. Demidov over to the near side for Suzuki and Caulfield, as Caulfield will pivot at the blue line there. He'll send it down, and that will be a big old clear for the Edmonton Oilers. 45 seconds gone in the penalty kill. The Oilers killed off the only penalty against the Leafs last game, 14 of 15. The last 5 road games, as the Canadiens once again two-man support coming out of their own zone will restart the power play across the Oilers blue line, as this will be Caulfield battling along the near side boards. Shot fired down low. Canadiens back to the slot. The shot fired wide by Montreal in the primest of prime shooting spots, as this one will be cleared by the Oilers but knocked down by the Canadiens just near the blue line. And then a missed pass by the Canadiens will escape the zone at last for the Edmonton Oilers. The power play, the last 10 games for the Canadiens, like I said, overall not great. Recently, real good, 36%. Last 10 games for Montreal across the line. 30 seconds to go. They tip it across the blue line. Back to the line it goes. The shot looking back door for the tip on Pickard. Can't find it. 24 seconds to survive for the Edmonton Oilers here. Near side dot. Looking down the wing into the corner. And the Oilers with 19 seconds to go in the power play here. 8 minutes to go in the hockey game's first period. Near side pass. Trying to shovel it home on Pickard. The Canadiens do it. And they're going to wave it off. Brendan Gallagher scoring the most Brendan Gallagher goal you possibly could. As Calvin Pickard's waving, no. He was pushing the pad all day. The referee waved it off. So we'll have to have overwhelming evidence to overturn the call. 7:54 to go here in the first period of play. They haven't put the goal up on the Montreal scoreboard here in terms of Sportsnet. So we'll see what happens here as we're getting things going. Ready towards the first period intermission, as this first period is winding down quick, and it looks like they're going to rule that I think Gallagher kicked Pickard. Is that what they're ruling? I don't know what they're... It looks like maybe Pickard made the initial save and then Gallagher kicked Pickard's pad and kicked the puck in the net. I really can't tell from this angle. Here we go. There we go. That's the overhead, but of course my broadcast freezing as much as it is, as it looks like maybe that's exactly what it is. Pickard just lost his edge in net, really, is what it looked like. Trying to save it, and then I don't know how that's going to be ruled, actually. I don't know what the conflict is there. Texier got it down low, and then Gallagher just kind of Brendan Gallaghered it into the net. So that's just kind of, a classic Brendan Gallagher goal. It looks like with zeros on the board and 13 seconds left on the power play, that's the way it's going to remain here, at least for the time being, as the Oilers and Canadiens take an extended pause. And it's going to be an NHL review now, it looks like, for this goal again. So again, I'll take a moment, friends, if you are new to Dolynny TV, as I can't even say my own name, consider hitting that subscribe button. Love to have you aboard. Again, subscribing's easy and free to do. Costs nothing. Just have to have a YouTube account. And then it gets you the videos and everything that much faster. I guess maybe I should explain that, as this is a heavily video and shorts focused channel. Live streams, as Brian's talking about, nice surprise. We're starting to get back to the live streams a little bit more as the season goes on. And they're going to rule maybe that was a kicking motion. So I just saw the overhead again. I finally understood the overhead. So it looks like a kicked in goal for Brendan Gallagher. So we'll see what happens, as we'll see how this... We'll see how this goes. But yeah, it was a weird situation here for Pickard, as that puck just kind of ended up flipping up inside the crease, and then Gallagher continued through. That's the thing. Gallagher just did his job, which is play hard in front of the net and try and put the puck in. And that, again, as much as I've told you I don't really follow the Canadiens nowadays and whatever, I've advocated a long time for Brendan Gallagher to be an Edmonton Oiler, but I've also loved Brendan Gallagher a long time as a Montreal Canadian. So it's kind of what it is. Gally and Chucky, it's no goal. So, hey, the Oilers survived nonetheless. 7:54 to go here in the first period to play. 13 seconds left on the power play for the Montreal Canadiens, who thought they had found pay dirt there after killing off a two-man advantage for the Edmonton Oilers just moments ago. Gallagher, he can't believe it. He's going to go sit on the bench. And the Canadiens will have to reset as it goes. We'll see how this goes. 7:54 to go here in this first period of play. Face off outside the blue line for the Oilers. And they will win the face off and fire it up the ice and clear the zone and effectively kill the penalty against the Montreal Canadiens. So here's now across the line, Draisaitl loading up. McDavid trying to push forward. He can't do it. Now McDavid spinning, pivoting at the dot. The shot fired towards the net. Can't do it. 7:35 to go here in the first period of play. Played past Bouchard, but Bouchard actually touched up his man first, and that prevented him from getting to that puck. And here's a shot from the Canadiens, or at least that's what it looks like it's going to be. Sorry, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with the internet here after this first period of play. As the Oilers and Canadiens tied at 0. 7.5 to go. The shot goes wide of the net there for the Oilers. So thankfully, Pickard doesn't even have to touch it. 5 saves so far tonight for Pickard, who's having himself an alright night. Across the line, the Oilers into the Canadiens' territory. Down the left wing, pass to the middle for Draisaitl. Couldn't find him there. Here comes Anderson, lumbering through the neutral zone, trying to get it past the Oilers' defense. Bouchard flips high into an area at the Canadiens' blue line, knocked down by the Red Sweaters. Back they come, tipping into the Oilers' zone. Inside the last 7 minutes to go in the first period we go. Emerson in behind Pickard. The Oilers have really used the line change effectively, standing behind Pickard tonight. That's a couple of times they've really slowed things down on a night where they are maybe a little bit more tired than usual. So key idea is to make sure you're doing that as best as possible. There's a hit against the end wall, and now here comes Montreal across the line into the Oilers zone, battling into the near side corner. Great defense there from the Oilers. Emerson just tying up his man with the hips and just throwing him into the wall eventually there. Jones, another hit along the wall on the far side. That frees it up for the Oilers. Nice pass there over to the zone and across the Montreal Canadiens blue line. The Oilers come. 6:15 to go. Stopping up Mangiapane towards the net. Nugent-Hopkins in on net. And here's now Jones mixing it up in front with the Canadiens. And, you know, the Canadiens have a couple guys that aren't afraid to throw the hands around. 6:11 to go in this first period of play. That just is the gift that keeps on giving, as the Oilers are doing a job so far. You know, doing a job. Just keeping the game kind of going where it is. I mean, only 2 shots, 5-on-5 so far this game. Jones, he's done exactly everything you can ask out of him coming down the lineup for the first time this season out of the Bakersfield system. And I think the Oilers, if they can finish this first period tied 0-0, that will be a monumental win for an Oilers team that desperately needs to just keep the consistent defensive effort going. So far, 7 shots for Montreal, no goals against, some decent looks, but nothing gravy for Montreal that's truly hit the net. Here's Henrique, a shot on Dobish, and somehow he didn't swallow that up, so the Canadiens able to clear the zone back into Oilers territory. The referee dances out of the way of Regula. Here now coming, Henrique back up the middle of the ice, trying to get it across the line for Janmark. Frederick speeding towards the situation, can't find it. Here now, near side point for Janmark. He turned back, looked like he was going to skate into it. He couldn't do it, and along the wall it comes for 4 Canadiens and 4 Oilers to tie up with 5:35 to go in this first period of play. Canadiens battling along the wall will eventually free it up. Demidov's going to come skating away with it. He's going to get it past Regula. Nurse will turn it back the other way though, and Frederick sees it, well, won by the Canadiens, and somehow a lucky bounce off a stick of the Canadian player in the high slot that wasn't expecting that puck to find him. I don't know what happened there. Just bounced away from him. 9-7 the shots for the Oilers. 5 minutes to go in the first period of play in a game in which the Oilers desperately, like I'm saying, need a result. And so far 0-0 is about the best result they've been able to settle for. The Canadiens rimming it back around to the near side. That's a nice play there by Savoy. The Canadiens, their first really gravy look of the game outside of the Gallagher no goal. And Caulfield is denied in front on a pass right out in front of Pickard. And what a play right there, as Gallagher's no goal is going to be the replay going into commercial break. Friends, the Oilers doing a decent enough job to be where they are right now, but that was a big time look for the Montreal Canadiens just now. And thankfully, the goaltending stopped the Montreal Canadiens. I know that seems crazy to say the Oilers goaltending made a stop, but that's kind of where we're starting to see it, right? For Pickard, at this point, if Pickard gives up a goal on the next 5 shots, it's all fine and dandy. Again, the Oilers offense has got to find a goal on the next 5 shots in the same breath. Oilers winning the face-off battle so far, and obviously both teams with some penalty kills, and the giveaways for the Oilers kind of costing them a little bit here, right? The play with the puck hasn't exactly been clean, but we'll battle through and get this going. So Yeah, absolutely, friends. Welcome aboard tonight. I think we're seeing Jake tuning in from Cleveland with the old Browns helmet in the profile picture there. Ace, welcome aboard. I think we've got Dirk coming in as well, and everybody's just kind of finding their way into the stream tonight. Definitely didn't expect to have 150 of you aboard here this evening, so appreciate you hanging out with me on a Sunday night. It's been a good game for the Oilers so far to at least keep the Canadiens off the board. And yeah, the big thing is here for Pickard. He's having a big first period so far. Again, a goal against now, leads 1 goal on 10 shots, is 900 save percentage. There's nothing to be ashamed of there when you're talking about your backup starting in a back-to-back situation. The offense coming up dry on a 5-on-3, and suddenly you can start making sense of why the Oilers could possibly be down 1-0 on the next shot. That said, the Oilers are not playing like they're going to be down on the next shot, nor is Pickard, so life is good thus far. And the big thing is Pickard needs a big game, like you're saying, Art. So that's kind of where we're at. And obviously, for the Oilers now, the goaltending needs to improve. The Oilers have put faith in Pickard by not eliminating him from the roster before Skinner. The Oilers have traded Skinner for Jarry. Jarry won a hockey game in his first attempt. So you just got to figure here, Pickard now due to put in a performance. So far, so good for Calvin as we keep going on this first period. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Friends, something I haven't asked you to do yet tonight, if you're enjoying the live stream, the play-by-play, and just hanging out so far, definitely leave a like here as I think Draisaitl's digging into the face-off dot with 4:52 to go in this first period of play as the Oilers look to try and grab a hold of a lead in this hockey game. Looks like my television's froze again, so just going to refresh it here. It's been a weird night. Like I said, I don't know if the wind's blowing out there or what tonight. Just kind of par for the course when you're living out in the countryside, right? So the Oilers and Canadiens, at least so far as we know, tied at zeros in the late first period, and life's good so far for the Oilers, in which needs to be an effort. 3:04 to go here in this first period of play now. 10-9, the shots on goal for the Oilers. So we missed quite a bit of hockey there. We're at least caught up again by refreshing the old TV. And does that Tex-Shea go into the box for the Montreal Canadiens? Is that what I just came into? It is indeed. So the Canadiens now shorthanded 3 times, twice at a time, here in this first period of play. And again, just the Canadiens kind of guilty of getting the stick into the wrong spot, in the wrong spot of the ice at the wrong time. Again, a hooking call there to Montreal. And now let's do this, friends. 2-minute power play for the Oilers, who have 10 shots in this first period of play. So you like to see that. The Oilers need to desperately keep pounding shots on net. They're a volume team that scores via volume. And right now, Draisaitl will take the face-off, maybe with a chance to close this out here in this first period of play with .1000. Do the Oilers empty the bench? Was Art's question earlier on. I will tell you, possibly, probably, I would figure. Even though it's in Montreal, who cares? The Oilers did it for Connor. I believe they will do it here for Draisaitl. As this puck's off the end wall, the Canadiens will battle the near side boards. Back around behind Nugent Hopkins. Will try and lift it over to McDavid. He gets shoved again there by Anderson. A big, healthy cross-check into the numbers along the boards. But this time McDavid doesn't completely crumple, so no penalty on the play. 2:42 to go in the first period of play. $1:35 remaining in the power play for the Oilers. Here comes Bouchard leading it back for McDavid, who will gain the zone rather quickly and then have it poke checked off his stick and then try and escape Matheson with a couple of dance moves there into the near side corner. Draisaitl taking the business from Anderson, and Anderson will be the guy ultimately to get it out of the zone for the Montreal Canadiens, as this one will be picked up by Draisaitl. Draisaitl back to the blue line for McDavid. McDavid will carry forward for the Oilers over the blue line and towards the middle of the ice. That'll be cut off by the Canadiens and fired down. We have a minute to go on the power play and 2 minutes to go in the first period of play. The Oilers still without a shot on said power play here as Bouchard leads ahead. He'll drop back for McDavid up the gut through center ice. McDavid just sifts into the zone rather quickly, and then another giveaway there for the Oilers. That's going to be 12 so far in this first period as Draisaitl picks up again for the Oilers. He will go to the middle of the ice, tipped off the stick of Nugent Hopkins. Battling there, the Canadiens will flip it out with 30 seconds to go in this Oilers power play after a rough denial there on the 2-man advantage for the full 2 minutes by Dolynny. Is struggling to get going here against the Canadiens penalty kill. Bouchard back now for Savoy. Savoy across over to Henrique. How big would a second unit power play goal here be for the Edmonton Oilers? 10 seconds remains in the man advantage as Savoy battling against the wall. Henrique's going to tap it down. Mangiapane chasing into the corner against Hudson. Mangiapane comes away with it. He looks to backhand in front of the net, quickly swallowed up by Hudson. No shots on the power play for the Oilers. Under a minute to go in the first period of play. 10-10 the shots on goal between the Canadiens and Oilers here. A first period in which if it ends up 0-0, the Oilers are going to be okay here. A shot towards Dolynny, just kind of fired there from a sharp angle by Henrique, bounces away from him. Dolynny has kind of struggled with their swallowing up of pucks so far in this game. The Canadiens on a couple of bounces able to clear out of the zone against the Oilers, and 30 seconds remains in this game's first period. Nurse wraps it around the boards to the far side, point and out. And here's Savoy looking for a line change and alongside Podkolzin and everybody as the Canadiens will gather inside their zone for one last rush with 15 seconds to go near side. Struble along the wall will tap it inside Oilers territory. Pickard to Emberson. Emberson back up now to Lazar to the far side, carrying across. Here's Stastny. Shot fired towards Dolynny. That one he swallows up with a second 0.8 on the clock to go here in this first period of play. Frederick's still sporting the stitches on the cheek there, so he's probably going to be not too much of an effect for the Oilers if they need to drop the gloves tonight. Pickard will stay in the net. There was a brief moment where it looked like he was going to go for the empty net, but with a second 0.8, it's really not worth it. Again, the Canadiens could possibly get the clear. Mathematics of the whole situation, I don't know. The Oilers also chose not to line up here. 8-7 the face-offs for the Oilers so far. After one period of play, the Canadiens just kind of fall on the puck at the face-off dot, clear the zone, and a frustrating first period for both teams. For the Oilers specifically, after what was a two-man advantage that came up empty-handed. But for the Oilers, you know what? We'll see what happens as they carry on and carry forward into this second period. The first intermission coming right up. Friends, if you're tuning in, I'm just going to take a break, fill up a water bottle, grab a little bite to eat, and we'll be right back in about 5-10 minutes here on Dolynny TV. Thanks for being aboard. Stay tuned. And of course, just leave the stream running if you're heading to the other room to grab dinner as well. All right, well, what are we thinking after one period to play? The Oilers, well, they're thinking, it could be worse. It's about where we'd put it, right? I think for the Oilers, at least you're tied 0-0, and life's not the end-all be-all of losing here after one period of play against the Canadiens. So the Oilers desperately need to just get this job done here in the second period, come to life, score a couple goals, stay off the penalty kill, and just avoid a Montreal power play that, you know what, you denied once, but they almost scored. So, yeah, see what happens. As what's going on here? Looks like, hold on. The Condors have acquired D-man Tyson Feist from the Rockford Ice Hogs in exchange for Rem Pitlick. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the Oilers are going to get a new blue liner in the system, that being Tyson Feist from the Rockford Ice Hogs. That is, yeah, that's interesting. That's for sure. I'd love to see what the Oilers do here with the defense in Bakersfield as they continue to make moves. As obviously that's a Keith Gretzky move right there. And here's the new Oilers goaltending coach Peter Aubry, who's looking a little shy there with Gene Principe, looking excited also. A little bit nervous energy there to be talking about our new goalie, Tristan Jarry, whose first season with the Oilers comes with Peter Aubry as the goaltending coach for the Edmonton Oilers. Friends, it's been like I said, a game so far for the Oilers. Not exactly what you expected out of maybe the Oilers, the high-flying team they've been the last little bit, but 0-0 after the end of one. 12-10 the shots on goal against the Canadiens. 6-5 the hits for the Canadiens. 8-8 the face-offs. 0 for 3 on the power play for the Oilers. Woo! You couldn't have told me that would happen in the first period. Not especially when they had a two-man advantage for 2 minutes. But Dobish with that key kick on the save against Draisaitl on the one-timer. Looking for .1000. 9-7 the giveaways for the Edmonton Oilers so far. Again, the giveaways probably a little indicative of it being a back-to-back situation. If the Oilers get the better of the giveaway category here in terms of giving up less than the Canadiens the rest of the way home, we probably 100% find a way to win this one. A little bit more sharpness, attention to detail. I'm sure Knoblauch will be preaching that after this first period of play, and I think it'll all start working out for the Oilers here. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here for the Oilers in this second period, just simply because it's a good back-to-back road period for the Oilers in the first. That's, again, I think the hockey guys, the guys that have played, the guys that have analyzed on TV for years would tell you that, right? You're tied after one. You know, you didn't do anything egregious to cost yourself. Nobody got injured, and you're just kind of running around mucking it up in terms of keeping the score where it is. So now for the Oilers, we'll see what happens there on from here. So that's where we're at. JT, good evening to you. Again, the actual gameplay, I would tell you the best bet in Canada, at least for consistent Oilers game coverage at this point, would be to buy Sportsnet Plus for a year. Everybody makes the mistake of buying the month-to-month membership. Just buy the year. It's the cheapest option. It gets you down to, I think, like $25 a month. And if you buy the premium, it's like $35, and you can watch every single team across the country. So no big deal there. Again, I know nobody wants to spend money, and money's very tight right now. I understand that. That's not what I'm trying to angle at. But it's just kind of, again, for consistency's sake, that's where you want to go at this point. So, friends, we're continuing along on the intermission. Peter Aubry talking about Tristan Jarry with Gene Principe here moments ago. It's a big football night. I think the Dallas Cowboys are the Sunday nighter, if I'm not mistaken, by what I'm seeing. So what the Oilers need to do is keep getting goaltending from Calvin Pickard. That's as fun of a period of hockey as 0-0 will tell you. Tons happening down there. Pickard and Dobish both excellent. I think maybe from Mark Spector that's a little bit playing it up too much. But for the Oilers, definitely, you know, a period in which you can be proud of. And the same can be said from the Canadiens. I think maybe I'm a little bit tainted in terms of, you know, saying that it wasn't an extremely awesome period, because we've been on the live stream so far in the last two we've done. The Oilers have scored 3 goals in the first period. So maybe a 0-0 on my perspective, just personally speaking to the camera during an Oilers game, is a little bit of a letdown. You know what it is, though. It's indicative of the situation for both teams, and we'll be fine. And the Oilers should be fine as well as we continue along here on Dolynny TV. So, friends, the intermission, always a good time. I'm never really sure how to fill the time, especially during the World Juniors. So, definitely, if you want to come back and chat with me, that would be greatly appreciated. We're closing in on, well, actually, the best live stream of the year so far here on the channel. So, it took one period, but that's where we're at. It's the best live stream of the year. So we'll take that for what it's worth and see if the Oilers can make it even better by scoring some goals here in this second period. Appreciate everybody being aboard. The cats are going psycho here. I guess it is just about dinner time for them. As it's been a good effort out of Pickard. I think that's really at the end of the day what I should be talking about. Pickard makes 10 stops on 10 shots in the first period to play. And that's really, at the end of the day, all that matters out of this first period, despite not scoring a goal, because Pickard with an .851, a .404 goals against average, obviously being in that support role to Stuart Skinner, who, Stuart Skinner, but he was winning games for the Oilers and giving the Oilers, out of both goalies, the better chance to win. Like, not the best chance to win, the better. And now the Oilers look like they've settled up the goaltending, and I think Pickard is safe to assume he's going to be here a little while longer. Who knows how much longer, but a little while longer, and then hopefully it goes from there. So, JT, I'll tell you about live streaming. It's called copyright. The NHL owns the copyright to the broadcast, and it's actually not YouTube that shuts down the live streams for that. I've been shut down by the NHL for doing this before. There's a great social media department and comms department with the NHL that I dealt with to get back live. I think those of you like Ace and a couple other you in the chat right now that have been along for the ride from the very start would remember that. I went live against the Toronto Maple Leafs way back in 2019 at the tail end of the year. I thought, hell, man, this is going to be a big live stream Leafs game. Everybody's going to be aboard. Awesome. And then I hit the live button and the NHL sent me, you've been copyright striked. So that's kind of the tough part is the NHL is very stringent with that. It's not really a YouTube thing. It's more the NHL. And, of course, all the professional sports leagues across the world, really, that are making sure their content is getting viewed where they want it to be viewed. So, Gene Principe talking about the Oilers Foundation here in a matter of moments as he's just kind of leading us into the intro of that. I'm not sure what this 50-50 on the road is supporting. I would have missed it during the first Intermission transfer from Main Street Beer and Barbecue in Airdrie last night. And again, I know I'm complaining about them not showing the Oilers game. Again, any time at Main Street's always a good time. And I'll tell you as well, going over to Old Town, which has been the go-to lately, actually, is just, I think it's more so everybody else's preference than me, but hey, we're doing okay. So, we're rolling along here. The Oilers, it looks like there's a kid asking the Oilers right now some questions about favorite holiday and Christmas cookie and stuff like that. We'll see where we're going. And Art, I will tell you this, I know you put that comment in there last live stream and I didn't address it. It actually wasn't Calvin Pickard that played with Eberle in the World Juniors. It was Chet Pickard, Calvin's brother. That's the crazy part. And at one time, Chet was actually, I believe, in Bakersfield, whether it be for the Oilers or for Bakersfield. So there's kind of some family ties there for Pickard that extend past him just showing up and playing for Bakersfield a couple years back and then getting the call up to the NHL. So Pickard, again, I think, if the Oilers leadership group voted in favor of keeping Pickard around, and then ultimately the Oilers had to upgrade on Stuart Skinner by trading him out of town because of cap space, I think there's a ton there, for Pickard to be proud of, Pickard to, know he has to pay back to the team. And Ace, I understand you're sitting here talking about how great Pickard is. The thing is, Pickard is what he is, a backup goaltender for his career. The thing there is, he is much better than he has been this year. And that's where I think for the Oilers, they know that. And if it all comes to fruition here for the Oilers tonight against the Canadiens, Pickard will start showing that again. And we all know what he did in the playoffs last year. And if Jari's, untested in the playoffs, but so was Stu before we got into the series against LA and Vegas a couple years ago. So Jari in front of this or behind this Oilers team and behind the same team that Pickard's had success with in the NHL playoffs. Everything's going to start coming together for the Oilers, I believe. So it's just, again, you got to get the performance from Pickard. It's on him now. No matter, I know there's a lot of fans of Pickard across social media. I got to meet Russ Jericho there from over in the UK this year when he got to meet up with Pickard and stuff. It's just everybody's a fan of Pickard because of who Pickard is. The thing is, he does have to deliver the results at some point, and it's been a rough start to the year. He's delivered the results prior, so now's the time to deliver the results again. The Oilers' depth scoring in a game tonight, which would be massive to win and get some depth scoring in terms of Pickard also getting a win. Things would be absolutely fantastic for the Oilers. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Obviously, right now, the focus is on winning tonight, as the focus was on winning last night against the Leafs with Jarry in net. The Oilers, let me tell you, by the time we get to Monday morning and a chance to talk about things here on the channel in the next day, which we haven't had a next day edition, but we'll get one going. I know that's kind of, again, a lot of you would accuse me that's counter to what Austin Hockey does with the day after. 100% it is. I for some reason, never really saw value in talking about the Oilers prior to going to work in the morning. And Austin's branded that out there very well, and kudos to him. That's one heck of a show there that he does the day after. I know the post games can always be a little hot for anybody that watched the game and does the YouTube video. So the day after from Austin is always a great little just let's simmer down and look at everything throughout the game and look through what's coming up. So it's just something for me to, hey, you know what, if that works for somebody else, I'm going to take an opportunity to do it. And it was nice to kind of add into the channel last year, especially given kind of the different nature of how I was looking at the games last year, being out and about more. So maybe we'll have a next day edition, and we'll see what we can talk about the Oilers coming out of this one, specifically if Jarry wins and then Pickard wins, and then there's tons of positive to talk about Oilers goaltending after a weekend out east. I think that's where the point was going, and that's an easy way to put a bow on it. We're still in the intermission, by the way, so bear with me as I ramble on here. It'll be interesting to see if the Oilers can come up with a goal-scoring effort here in this second period play. That would be fantastic. Rory, I think, 100%. There is probably, based on the way that first period was played, a good chance the Oilers go to overtime tonight. And it's almost classic, right? Either against the Leafs or the Canadiens, when you do the back-to-back out east, that you do end up having to go to overtime against one of them. And again, like I said, that has bearing in terms of what I talked about early in the intermission, where if the Oilers get the better of the turnover category, the giveaways, whatever you want to talk about tonight, they will win this game pretty handily, or at least with a solid victory in hand. Again, if they keep giving away the puck as much as they did in that first period, which I believe Knoblauch, that'll be his big address to the team in this intermission. If the Oilers stop giving away the puck, they start running away with it, or at least control the game from here. So we'll see where it goes from this point of view, but hopefully things translate here from a good road first period on a back-to-back to a big second period in terms of winning a hockey game in a back-to-back. So see how it goes. But we'll see where it goes here for the Oilers as we continue along as the game goes on. Like I said, just kind of cautious because the first period was good enough, but the second period's got to be great because the Canadiens will have their legs in this second period, that's for sure. We're going to have a moment here to see what happens for the Oilers. Talking about Gene Principe's hair and all his possible hairstyles he could go with. I think it's hilarious that Gene Principe honestly gets as much love from the team as he does. Gene Principe, just again, a guy that kind of turned the Decade of Darkness into at least appointment television sometimes, right? You knew every St. Paddy's Day when the Oilers were playing, or whenever the St. Paddy's Day game was, you knew as an Oilers fan you had to tune into that, despite the Oilers being probably the worst team in the NHL at that point. So thank goodness for Gene Principe. We all love it. And again, if anyone asks why I do the squirrel suit from time to time, Gene Principe is the answer. It's just a little bit of levity in a bad situation. So we'll see what happens for Gene and his hair. Hopefully good things. We love Gene. We'd love to go back to the mullet, I think. That's for sure. As hopefully, we start this second period with a bang. That'd be great. If we can start this second period with a bang, life would be awesome. Friends, we're an hour and a half deep in the live stream. I did not have the water bottle to start the first period, so the voice is already starting to give out on me. We'll see how it goes here with the Oilers doing things against the Canadiens. The Habs, a good first period as well. Friends, if you're tuning in from a Habs perspective, I can't downplay what they did. Draisaitl winning the opening face-off of the second period. Nurse will fire it in. Puck comes around to the near side boards. Podkolzin over to the far side for Savoy, who can't handle it at the corner boards. And now Podkolzin goes chasing against the Canadiens defense. Coming in support was Nurse. Draisaitl at the blue line takes over. Draisaitl will bounce it off of a stick of Regula. Canadiens at the line. Fighting there is Savoy. Fighting there is now 5 players right in front of the Oilers bench. Nobody go for a line change right now. That's a recipe for disaster, as everybody's still trying to move that puck free. The Oilers are the first ones to clap it through the zone. Near side, the Canadiens will work it out to the neutral along the center ice area. Hudson across the line. I was going to say Quinn because we got a Hudson too, but it's Lane, his brother, who is able to work it around the boards there inside the Oilers' territory. Caulfield spinning off the check of Podkolzin, and Podkolzin goofed him up, and Caulfield wasn't able to hammer that one home on the wrist shot. And now there's Regula on the save by Pickard, the 11th of the night, able to clear it down the length of the ice to Dobish, who will just do the old stick curl in behind the net for Struble. And the Canadiens in their own zone will look to the far side boards and look to move this one up rather quickly across the line. Out to play it is Pickard, and maybe Jari's puck playing ability will be a key factor for the Oilers as well. That's something we've talked about a little bit here today and yesterday. 18:34 to go. Good to see Pickard handle the puck and make a safe play with it as Emerson. He gets trucked. I was going to say crunched, but trucked by Texier and Anderson. A point shot there for the Canadiens. Goes off the end wall, dies against the boards. You don't see that all too often on the point shot like that. Another one from the point for the Canadiens. They've had a couple there, and only a few have hit Mr. Calvin Pickard. It's weird saying that because when I say that, I expect to say Skinner. Anyway, Frederick in the neutral zone. He'll tap it into the Oilers' offensive territory. Dobish out to play it under duress from Janmark. It'll be squirted out into the neutral zone. Ekholm almost blew a tire, and a good recovery to get it to Bouchard. And then Ekholm takes a man down, and we'll have a penalty upcoming. Bouchard disgustedly touches up the puck. 2:15 to go. And it might just be the same kind of night it was, 2 months ago against the Montreal Canadiens, as the Oilers and Canadiens headed to the box quite a lot here so far. And clear as day trip there on Demidov from Ekholm. He knew exactly what he was doing, just playing the stick hard into the legs of Demidov to stop a good chance against. Trip and call against Ekholm, and we will go to the penalty kill, will the Oilers, here for the next 2 minutes. See what we can do. Face off. To the left of Pickard. Suzuki in the draw against the Oilers. Henrique. Hudson with the puck at the blue line. Near side boards for Demidov. Half wall back behind the net. Demidov now with the puck again in the same spot. Shot on. Scores. I don't know how that puck got through Pickard, but that is the magic of Ivan Demidov. 17:32 to go here in this second period to play. 12-12 the shots, and the Canadiens take not too much time to figure it out. The league's best power play their last 10 games. Get the job going, and that drink guy, he's got every single array of colors you could possibly have in your hand for drinks, as Demidov just roof jobs it through Pickard. And I'm really hoping maybe the Oilers had some interference there on that play. No, that's a nice clean look there for the Canadiens. And Demidov from Slavkovsky is going to line up to be the goal. Just ringing it through Pickard was Demidov. And you know he loves scoring at home. And that's a big-time goal there for the Canadiens. They go up 1-0. Now, like I said, the Oilers need a big period here. Giving up goals to the Canadiens isn't the end of the game for the Oilers in the second period. But you've got to have some goal scoring of your own here. Bouchard inside his own zone. Hudson and Slafkovsky get the assists. 17:23 to go. McDavid peels it back to Bouchard, who guns it up for the home run pass to Nugent Hopkins. It tips off his stick in behind the Canadiens' net. Hyman coming chasing for it. Ekholm bleeds down the left wing to get it over to Nugent Hopkins. Far side corner, bounce back to the blue line. Bouchard. McDavid, as the offense started cooking, but a bad pass from McDavid forces Bouchard to the zone, and now McDavid forced to weave through traffic back to Bouchard, far line. Here's Bouchard over to Hyman. Hyman's looking to pass this puck back for Ekholm. The shot from the blue line got the rebound, just couldn't jam it home. Here's Anderson across the Oilers line, just like that. He'll rim it around to the far side boards. The Canadiens kick it back to the blue line. 16:38 to go. Pickard kicks out the next save with the blocker. There you go. He's back in rhythm. Another save for Pickard. 13 shots. A goal against on 13 shots. I'm taking that all night from Calvin Pickard. Is Max Jones out there? He's going to chase Dolynny to go to the near side board support, and this will be worked back to the neutral zone. The Oilers quickly across the line in possession into Canadiens territory. Jones along the end wall. He will fight that one free for Mangiapane, who rims it around to the far side for Emerson. Emerson down low again. Mangiapane engages battle against Matheson. Back to the blue line. Emerson can't hold it, and Gallagher will do enough to get it across the Oilers line, and then the Canadiens take the man down in Lazar. Jones somehow up with the puck. He'll be across the Oilers' offensive blue line. Here's Mangiapane as the fourth line shift continues. A poke check in front by Dobish stops what might have been a tap in for Jones. On the back door, as this will be Stastny against the end wall, using the body. That's been something we were told right away that Stastny doesn't do often. Well, so far in 2 games for the Oilers, he's done it enough, as this one will be battled freely into the middle of the ice for Matt Savoy, who dumps off to Mangiapane, who desperately needs a line change after a fourth line shift that, I mean, he might not get again for another 10 games. 15:20 to go here in this second period of play, as the Oilers see the Canadiens in behind their own net. Draisaitl trying to use as little bit of effort as possible. Podkolzin trying to hem the Canadiens into an error. And Nurse on the clear all the way length of the ice, no icing. Gets it over now for the Podkolzin guy as he takes down his man as well. And here comes Nurse. Nurse across the line, whipping it onto the tape of Draisaitl. Draisaitl back to the blue line for Regula with a deadpan giveaway straight to Suzuki in on net on. No call up coming against Darnell Nurse. What defense from Nurse to financially recover from that error by Regula, as this will be a play by Draisaitl down low to Hudson. Hudson will lift up against the boards there for Suzuki. Out into the middle of the ice. Here come the Canadiens back on the attack. Another steal there by Podkolzin denies the attack of the Montreal Canadiens. The Habs back on their heels as across 4-on-3 the Oilers entered the zone, and then a good recovery from Caulfield on the Oilers attack, as I think that was Hyman peeling into the zone for the Oilers. This will be McDavid peeling back to the blue line for Ekholm. It'll be chipped past him. Bouchard, who's been pretty composed tonight, able to get it over to Ekholm, back into the Oilers' offensive territory. Off the boots of Hyman it goes. Hyman near side corner will just throw it back down low for Nugent Hopkins. A pass to the front of the ice. Can't get it going in front of Dobish for the Oilers, and the Canadiens instead just lift into the Oilers zone rather weakly, and that'll just bounce around a few times. McDavid might have just gotten it free. A little bit of a hook on McDavid there. I don't know if it's going to be a call upcoming. McDavid got it to Nuge, and he could not get it cleanly through on Dobish. 13:30 to go. Second period, the Canadiens across the line. This one seems to be moving a little faster than it did in the first. And Calvin Pickard with a big save on Texier right there. 13.5 to go in this first bit of the second. I was going to say first period. But what defense by Darnell Nurse, and what a stand tall there by Pickard to deny the breakaway there for Nick Suzuki. So the Oilers at least doing good things so far in this second period, giving up that goal and then responding with some tough defense, and obviously a couple of saves after the goal by Pickard. 13-13 the shots on goal. The Oilers, like I said, though, those giveaways are going to cost them at some point here, and I think it will be soon, the way the Oilers are going. So far so good. Kiwi Swerve, welcome in. Chemo as well. things have been rolling this evening for the Oilers and Habs. At least clock's been chewing, and both teams with some chances. And now the Oilers are kind of getting shut out of the middle of the ice here by the Habs. So the Oilers have to really get digging into the offensive zone, cycling the puck around and attacking the net with some ferocity here. And hopefully it starts working in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. So friends, again, I guess we'll take a quick time to, again, if you're new to the channel, tell you to hit that subscribe button. Closing in on 18,500. Would love to have you aboard as a regular viewer here on the channel. Free and easy to do. And yeah, just gets you access to the live streams, to the videos that much faster. And if you don't have notifications enabled, I don't talk about notifications too often, but again, if you want to enable the notifications to get a ding on your phone or computer every time I go live or post a video, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Always love the support early on the videos, and just kind of usually once I post a video, I have the time to reply to comments. You've started seeing that a little bit more recently, so trying to recommit to the old YouTube game a little bit more this year. So the Oilers so far, some good looks, but Dolynny has stood tall. So we'll see if the Oilers can kind of, again, replicate what they were doing in that first period, specifically on that two-man advantage, and just kind of pound the puck towards the net, pound the puck towards what is obviously as well trying to get a goal, as the Oilers have kind of gone quiet here in the last 7 minutes of the second period. This one bounced off the wall, picked up by the Canadiens. This will be worked out into the middle of the ice by Montreal, stolen by the Oilers rather easily. Emerson out of his own zone, back up along the wall, and the Oilers are kind of stretching the ice thin here with these passes out of the D zone again, and leaving the forwards not much room to operate once they get to the Montreal line. So I wonder if there will be something there for the Oilers, maybe in terms of changing that as the game goes on. Frederick back to the blue line. Emerson, the one-timer, stings one of the Canadiens players, and then not really looking for the play because he didn't have a stick, as Stastny will pick this one up near side for the Oilers across the line. Podkolzin in with Savoy. Podkolzin, hot hand last game, fires a shot on net that misses the top corner by a good 2 feet. 12:26 to go as the Oilers will have Regula backhanded up off the wall. Podkolzin over to the far side for Nurse. Nurse will bounce it to the near side boards for Draisaitl to Savoy. The shot swallowed up, and for the first time it feels like all night, Dolynny swallows up a shot and doesn't give up a rebound, so that's where we're at. It's kind of been a weird go for him. Liam, welcome in as well. As it's been a night for the Oilers in which no goal scoring so far. A different story here on Dolynny TV than we've had the last two games. Oilers have had some really good games so far when live the last 2 weeks, so hopefully they can continue that trend as this one wears on. The face-off down. Podkolzin rushes forward back to the blue line. He shoves it. The Canadiens, though, able to steal it away. Bolduc will fire it in on Pickard. Regula will bat it along the wall, and the Canadiens will look to bounce this one free as the shot loads from Caulfield. Comes free to the near side, and a bounce out of play there stops the stick waiting of Nick Suzuki trying to fire that puck home. I always get that confused, Nick and Ryan. Fair enough, but 12 minutes to go here in this second period of play. We're approaching the midway point of the second period. Shots are 15-15 for both teams, and the Oilers just need to stop giving the puck away. That's as easy as it is so far, down 1-0 against the Canadiens. Hudson off the face-off, back to the blue line. The Oilers have yet again taken a penalty, as this will be worked by the Canadiens. Back now to Bolduc. Bolduc across to Hudson. Hudson will slide it to the far side boards. Skating around the zone. The Canadiens with some sustained zone time here with the delayed penalty against. As Suzuki will look to play this one into the far side corner. Back to Suzuki half wall. Suzuki looking over now. Demidov fires the shot. The rebound off a block shot, and Suzuki couldn't fire it cleanly. And it looks like they will say the Oilers touched the puck, and we will have an interference call against the Edmonton Oilers, as that second line maybe shouldn't have spent so much time on the ice following that face-off after the shot from Savoy. Bolduc and Regula kind of mixing things up. Regula will go to the box with 11:23 to go in a 1-0 Montreal lead. And I said the Oilers have been shut out, at least in recent memory, a few times against the Canadiens. And, well, here's another example of it so far tonight. Maybe saying the word shutout for Dolynny will turn the momentum around. As there's Hudson. Obviously a little interference by, it's going to be a slash by Regula. Okay, I saw the hands come together, but that's where we're at. So Regula will sit for the next little bit. Obviously, he's a big part of the Oilers' defensive core right now, playing in the top four. The Oilers stood by and stood with him for the whole season last year, waiting for him to recover. So Demidov down low to the corner. Back to Demidov, to Hudson, to Demidov. Demidov rips the shot. It goes off a leg. Slafkovsky makes a living, it looks like, out of that near side little corner area by the net. As Suzuki with the puck will load back down. The Canadiens' power play so far 1 for 2 tonight. As they look back to the blue line, they'll fake off and go down low again. As this will be, Gallagher there in front? Caulfield. As the Canadiens continue to move the puck around right to the front of the net. Slafkovsky denied by Pickard. And this one picked up now by Hudson. Hudson over now for Demidov. Demidov fires the shot, blocked there by Henrique. 1:15 to go in the first, in this power play. Sorry, I'm all kinds of discombobulated today. 10:31 to go. The shot off of somebody or Pickard in front goes down the length of the ice. 1:05 to go in this power play for the Canadiens. Hudson leading forward, leaning on his edges there to get up ice in a hurry. Hudson will try and translate this one in the middle of the ice, and instead stolen by the Oilers, cleared down the length. 50 seconds remain in the power play as the Canadiens will take all the time in the world to get the line change and reload this power play for the second unit. 40 seconds to go, leading across Texier, across over the far side. Texier sees it bounced off the skates of a Canadian behind him, and it'll be a clear by the Oilers with 30 seconds to go in this power play. The Oilers able to continue to hem the Canadiens inside their own zone. The puck rolls around to the far side. Controlling at the blue line is Podkolzin. He'll come now near side. Fired in by Ekholm again on the big old slap shot from his own zone. That'll allow Podkolzin to come up with it on a weird play by Dolynny that just left it for nobody. And with 10 seconds to go, the Oilers should, by the looks of this, be able to escape another Montreal power play with no damage done. A couple of times so far in the game. As that will be bounced the length of the ice. No icing. Matheson double checked with the ref before heading to touch the puck. 9:15 to go in the second period. 16-15. The shot's now on goal for the Canadiens. The Oilers, starting to feel a little bit more and more lifeless offensively as the game wears on in this second period. 9 minutes exactly left in the second period of play. Picking it up behind the net is Carrier. He will fire along the near side boards and it'll bounce all the way into the Oilers zone for an icing call to the far side corner. Emberson there to get the call. And there you have it. We have a stoppage in play with under 9 minutes to go. And Pickard, here's what I'm going to tell you. Pickard's always been a guy who's been active with his stick in the crease. That's one thing that he's done. He's usually pretty good at swiping those pucks out of danger. I think Jari is going to be an improvement on Skinner in that aspect as well. And that could be very, very good for an Oilers team that needs it very, very good. So, here we go. Face off. Scrambling here for the Canadiens. Fired down by Draisaitl to McDavid. McDavid along the wall will try and have Draisaitl battle there freely coming over the penalty kill. Draisaitl and Hyman pile up with the support from the Canadiens. Carrier was able to get that puck away for Montreal. It'll be down into the far side corner. The Canadiens in behind the goal line of the Oilers here, trying to force the Oilers defense into a mistake, as that's so often pretty easy to do so far this year. The Canadiens at the blue line, the Habs fire it through, blocked in front again. 16 shots for Montreal, so a fantastic effort so far tonight from Pickard, so much as was needed for this Edmonton Oilers team. 8:12 to go in the second period. Battle along the near side boards. Oilers zone coming free. Evans against Bouchard. Bouchard over to McDavid. Turnover in front, scores. Ay, 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 ay. That one a prime shooting location there for the Canadiens, and Pickard's been able to bail the Oilers out of some situations this game so far, but not that one, as Joe Veleno fires it home for the Montreal Canadiens. 8:02 to go in this second period. That is just a tough look for the Oilers, as McDavid just a blind pass into the slot for nobody, and Pickard's left all alone against Joe Veleno, who once upon a time was an exceptional status player in the QMJHL. So, yeah, that'll happen. as that's a tough goal against, and you need something to happen here for the Oilers offensively now this period. You cannot go into the third period down 2-0 against this Montreal Canadiens team with Dolynny riding the way he has been so far. Here's Nugent Hopkins coming back the other way. Be lifted there by Frederick, who will get it across the Oilers' offensive blue line, but that was about it. And now the Canadiens back in on the attack. Gallagher fires it off the pads of Pickard. Slafkovsky to the middle of the ice, back to the blue line now, across to the far side. Shot on Pickard, save made, 7:29. At least Pickard, when he's kind of gotten dusted up, he's been able to make that next save. Regula swallows up Gallagher. Frederick engaged with somebody else. And one of the linesmen just went down in this shuffle. As we're going to have, I think, both players going to the box here, Slafkovsky and Mangiapane. And now we'll see what happens here for the Oilers and Canadiens as we probably even up 4-on-4. But 2-0 is a tough look for this Oilers squad going into commercial break. 7.5 to go in this second period. And everybody will always yell about the Oilers defense, but it's the forwards always seeming with the turnovers in the zone that just kill the Oilers. Hudson and Slafkovsky with the assists on Demidov power play goal, and Veleno unassisted via Connor McDavid's turnover. And that's, again, I told you after the end of the first period that the turnovers were going to kill the Oilers if they didn't stop them sooner or later. There's the biggest one of the game, and suddenly it's 2-0 Montreal. So don't worry, I'll turn sour pretty quick on this game, especially if the Oilers go down big against Montreal. I'll probably just shut the stream off to save you from me being a miserable DII. But yeah, so far, so good, at least on the stream side of things. Friends, appreciate you hanging out on the stream this evening. It's been a great live stream thus far. And yeah, the Oilers just not quite coming up with the effort you'd love to see in terms of getting a couple of goals maybe. But Calvin Pickard, the lone bright spot really so far for the Oilers in this hockey game. Friends, to all of you joining the chat right now, thanks for being aboard. The Oilers, they have some work to do. We'll see if they can keep that going here in the next little bit of this second period. A big effort to end the period would be absolutely fantastic. Or the Oilers, I'm not kidding you. It'd be nice to bring it back to even before the end of the period. Quite honestly, if the Oilers go down 3-0 by the end of this second period, stream's done. We'll head up for dinner and go watch the rest of the game on the TV in the living room, and then get to watching Landman tonight. Again, I mean, nobody's throwing me spoilers, but I'm sure Landman's been a good time tonight if you've had a chance to watch. Hopefully it's a good episode, as I don't think Landman's really had too many bad episodes, that's for sure. So we'll see what we can do. As we got good old Draisaitl on the bench there for the Oilers. It'll instead be the fourth line, the fourth line's actually kind of been a bright spot tonight as well. I don't want to play too much just to the Pickard angle, but here's Emerson along the wall after the Oilers win the draw and scramble it up. 7:20 to go in this second period of play. Puck comes right out in front. There's that stick from Pickard again, directing it away from danger. Mangiapane along the left wing inside the Canadian zone. Max Jones arrives on scene for the Oilers. Jones will see it bounce up off the wall, and then he will deliver a thundering shoulder to the chest against one of the Canadiens players. Barely moves him, but nonetheless, still a big hit there as this one comes off the end wall. 6:58 to go, as this will be a stoppage and play, an icing call against the Montreal Canadiens. '19th road game this season. T second in the NHL. 6:58 to go in the second period. 19 shots now for Montreal. This one, now Savoy, along the end wall, will get it over to the far side for Draisaitl. Draisaitl near side to Nurse. The shot through traffic can't hit the net. This will be picked up by Draisaitl. 6:45 to go in this second period of play. Draisaitl picks up. He will load up to the near side over to Nurse. Nurse will lead down for Draisaitl. The pass just didn't connect, and it'll be passed around. Oh, no, there it is. There's the ad for Landman as well. Shot from the point for the Oilers. That's their 16th of the game, denied by Dolynny. And then a turnover by Matt Savoy to Nick Suzuki in on net. Denied by Calvin Pickard nonetheless. And it'll be kicked out by Savoy. A clear there for the Oilers. A key moment in this hockey game. Maybe a little something to build momentum from for those Edmonton Oilers. As this one will be down to the right side, picked up by the Oilers, fired into the Habs territory off the stick of Podkolzin at their blue line. And the Canadiens will lift out as it'll be picked up by Suzuki. Suzuki will fire over to Pickard. Pickard now for Bouchard. 5:52 to go in this second period is leading forward. The Canadiens and Oilers trying to get out of the neutral zone cleanly. One trying to get in and one trying to get the other way. Instead, the Canadiens forced just to flip into the Oilers' territory. The pass by Ekholm rifles it through traffic again, kind of hit Nugent-Hopkins at the Canadiens' blue line, so no icing. And then Montreal able to get it back. And Montreal, hopefully they're comfortable enough not to sit back on this lead. I will tell you that. As we're talking already about them blowing leads. And, ask them about how that Rangers game went. As this will be passed over now for Nugent-Hopkins back to the blue line. Ekholm down low to McDavid. McDavid along the end wall. We'll see Hyman try and go support against Anderson. Turns it over to Nugent-Hopkins. Good support there from Hyman. Now Bouchard down low to McDavid. McDavid spin pass to Nuge. Almost had him. Bouchard good keep at the blue line, dancing along the wall there. He will look to pivot a past Evans. Evans sees it get to McDavid. 34 seconds current ozone time for the Oilers. McDavid's tripped up. Maybe no call coming. Nugent-Hopkins pushed off. Here's McDavid in on Dobish. Shot is stopped right there. Dobish having one heck of a game. 18 saves so far. Another shot from the point sifts through wide of the net as this will be back to the blue line again. Ekholm, the power play is going here as Nugent-Hopkins goes across to the far side. McDavid back to the blue line. McDavid will dance around high slot area over to Bouchard, far side point. And then Bouchard with a dead give right there. And coming back the other way is Texier in on net. Pickard! Man, okay, where would the Oilers be tonight without Pickard and his performance? I told you it was an important one for him, and he denies another one as the Oilers ice the puck right there. Oh my goodness, the Oilers tonight with the giveaways are just self-inflicting every single wound they could possibly give themselves. And Suzuki and a couple of breakaways here, and of course Nurse on the first one earlier. But that one, Bouchard right into the tape of Texier on the backhand, skating away with it. Ekholm and Bouchard, no chance of catching him. A tapper off the blocker pad area of Mr. Calvin Pickard, who 21 shots against, 2 goals against, and 19 saves, a better than 900 save percentage, and he's been the reason the Oilers are so far so good here this evening. 3:48 to go. I know they're down 2, but again, Montreal being only up 2 goals doesn't give me too much faith the Oilers can't come back, as this one's going to be Henrique skating lumbering. He's trying to get his legs motoring. He couldn't really get going, but he does win the race nonetheless. As here's Frederick behind the net, looking to force it in front for Janmark. Sticks tied up. Henrique, a second follow-up effort, can't get it going, and the Canadiens will ice the puck rather clean. Pickard knew it all the way, the stick up in the air, saying, come on, boys, get back here. Let's go back to the offensive zone. That's a tough look for the Canadiens, who, again, just got the Oilers on an icing a moment ago, and then, the Oilers get a little scramble in front. The Canadiens easily just throw it down. This one will be a face-off. One back by the Canadiens. They will fire it into the neutral zone again. Stastny, I think he got a little bit of a piece of that. He's going to angle the body again against Demidov. And I'm loving what Stastny does against the end wall in the Oilers zone. I've heard he's a quiet, just steady, bottom 6 pairing guy, but hey, I'm loving what he's doing so far for the Oilers. Not really costing them. As this one now for Emerson and Janmark. They're tying it up. Frederick down low to Janmark. Janmark, the shot right in front. Dobish falls on it from Curtis Lazar. And the fourth line guys tonight, I'm telling you, there haven't been a lot of bright spots for the Oilers so far this evening. But the fourth line, I'm telling you, they're looking okay. And again, that secondary scoring, you got to get chances to get goals, and when you get chances, the goals will come. And that's what that secondary scoring for the Oilers is starting to do. Tuesday night, 5 p.m. against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I can almost guarantee you I will not be live streaming that one because, it'd be a tough try to get home. I won't even be able to really listen to the game at that point. I don't know if Buddy's car gets the gets the 630 or 880 Ched feed. So we're rolling along here on the stream, friends. I want to say a huge thank you for spending your evening with me. Again, Sunday night, didn't know what to expect. Montreal, I figured it might be a good crowd, but glad for you keeping me alive here on the stream tonight. Again, the Oilers are just a few moments away from surviving this second period, 2:50 to go. Like I said, Montreal scores 3 kind of in that period where it was just not looking good for the Oilers after giving up 2 goals. Now, if the Canadiens score 3, I don't know if the stream goes off. I'm going to tell you, I desperately need to eat. I'm starving. Haven't really had much at all for food today. Just kind of had a bowl of cereal, a couple glasses of milk. It's been a day. It's been a Sunday. Yeah, I chose nap over anything really overall. So, yeah, hopefully for the Oilers, they can find the back of the net in this next 2:49, get the job done, and then we'll be flying into that third period with a chance to come roaring out of the gate. Best period of the game. And again, the Oilers could be down 2-0 going into that third period. I will tell you, based on what we've seen, the first period was a good road back-to-back period. Wasn't really overall a great period for the Oilers because of no result on that 2-man advantage. But if the Oilers want to have the best period of the game, the third period will be it here tonight. So the giveaways for the Oilers leading to the breakaways have been absolutely brutal. But you know what? End of the day, Pickard's been back there. He stopped the Oilers from giving up some goals. And so far, so good for Calvin Pickard, who has done exactly what you need out of him tonight. The Oilers' offense being lackluster and the giveaways being disastrous, that is just kind of what it is. So tonight, Pickard has done everything possible to give the Oilers a chance to win. Montreal's 2 goals, look at them. Demidov's snipe on the power play. Of course, that was a guarantee that would probably happen. And the McDavid giveaway in front to lead to the clean goal for Texier was just unbelievably stupidity from Connor McDavid. A shot sifted off the stick. Max Jones creating all kinds of chaos in front for the Montreal defense. Max Jones, a big body as well. Not the biggest body, but a big body, and he plays big. As Mangiapane, this fourth line continues to just absolutely dummy for the Oilers inside the Montreal zone today. They have been absolute hounds on the puck. 2:19 to go here in this one. This will come across to the near side. Coming back up the middle of the ice. 2:11 to go in this second period to play. The shot fired in. Near side, looking for the puck. The Oilers trying to clear the zone. Draisaitl, Nurse, somebody had it. Oilers are across the Canadiens' blue line nonetheless. Here's a backhand by Nurse. Down low, $1:56 to go as the Canadiens will scramble up the puck here as this one battling. And Draisaitl finally just kind of decides to pin his man against the wall. Near side corner, Canadian zone. Canadiens come up with the puck. Tie up at the blue line. Necco might have just thrown Gallagher down enough to keep that puck in. Not enough though as Suzuki sees Gallagher break free. Suzuki over to Gallagher, tipped wide. You got to remember the Oilers did have a pretty good comeback against the Canadiens last time out, as here's Draisaitl lumbering up through the neutral zone. Here's Podkolzin, near side wing. He's going to try and support this one. Draisaitl around to the far side. Nobody home. Bouchard will see Suzuki skate into it at the Oilers blue line, coming free right down the gut. Caulfield, big time miss or save there by Pickard. I don't really know how that one went. Pickard was in the old style butterfly Broder save there, as that one is a big time beauty for the Oilers to escape, as that was 3-0 in a heartbeat, just like that, as Evans down the left wing inside the Oilers territory, back to the middle. Bolduc kicked aside by Pickard, who crossed up his legs but still made the save. And the Oilers just swimming, trying to survive here against the Canadiens offense. 22 shots on net now for Montreal as Dover sees it go around to the far side. Hyman now trying to force this one near side. Nurse collapses along the wall there. That'll allow the Oilers to keep the puck alive for a few seconds anyway. McDavid spinning against Matheson, trying to turn him inside out and come up with the puck. Instead, it's lifted out to center ice, and Anderson will haul down Nurse, and the Oilers will get a late power play here inside this second period that'll extend to the third. There you have it. 13:05 on the clock. The Oilers might have just gotten their gift as Josh Anderson battling for that puck. Battling to try and free that one up was Anderson against Nurse, and just hauled down Nurse instead. So Caulfield, a brilliant look, and just could not find the back of the net. And then Anderson, right there, got the hand on the hip of Nurse. That's why he ends up drawing the penalty, does Nurse. So we'll have a hold against Anderson, and we'll see what we can do here as this one gets going. As Draisaitl will take the draw against Evans. 16-14 to go in the face-off dot. Trying to win the draw is Draisaitl. And instead, McDavid, as often, comes in for Draisaitl. 22-18 the shots, like we're saying here. Bouchard looking to get one more before the end of this period. How big would Draisaitl's 1,000th point be here as Bouchard throws that puck away? Canadiens clear. That'll do it. The Oilers, lackluster by a mile in that second period of play. The Canadiens hold a 2-0 lead. And somebody's going to be yelling in that Oilers room not named Chris Knoblauch after 2 periods of play. And we'll see how that translates as we get going. So, friends, right now, I will tell you, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button here on Dolynny TV, make sure to do that. I'm going to head upstairs for dinner right quick. Stay tuned here on the stream. Just leave it running. We'll be back for the third period, but we'll have some second intermission updates here for you as well. Stay tuned. The Montreal Canadiens lead 2-0. You're watching Dolynny TV. Well, what do we know? We know, we know that the Oilers are down 2-0 against Montreal Canadiens. The Oilers will start the second period on the power or third period on the power play. So that's at least good news for us as we get going towards trying to win this hockey game. As we'll see, obviously, what the Oilers can muster in this third period. Right now, power play goal for the Oilers would be absolutely massive to start the third period and then just kind of get the job going from there if you're the Edmonton Oilers. So right now, you've got Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes out there for the Minnesota Wild. That's a big time trade for them. And he scores in his debut, as Zeev Buum did as well for the Vancouver Canucks. So Quinn Hughes helps out the Wild win. I'm a big fan of that trade for the Minnesota Wild. I really got nothing against the Minnesota Wild. I've got two real good buddies that are big-time Wild fans, and always seeing them happy and excited about their team is always a massive go for me as well. So, and if you look hard enough on the internet, you will find some Minnesota Wild coverage on a channel called Clemhawks by yours truly as well. So there's that on top of that. So for the Oilers, here's the problem. You want to know the problem? Here's the problem. I know the Montreal Canadiens have had just as many giveaways tonight as the Oilers, 14-13. It doesn't matter. The problem is the Oilers' giveaways tonight have been so impactful that unless Calvin Pickard makes the saves, the Oilers are down about 5-6-0 at this point of the hockey game. Again, the Connor McDavid one absolutely awful. Sorry, it wasn't Texas that scored the goal. It was Joe Veleno. But it's just like, you're kidding me here, or the Edmonton Oilers with the giveaways tonight. Bouchard with one at the line, Regula with one at the line, and the Oilers somehow, some way get a power play at the end of the second period because Nurse is just standing in the way of Anderson, and Anderson's just a big dummy. Really, I mean, Anderson's a great hockey player. Love his style of game, but again, the style of game is a big dummy. That's what Anderson does best, and he just ends up clutching and grabbing and Nurse too much and takes a call. And now the Oilers have really what is going to be their only opportunity, I think, the way the Montreal Canadiens really cleaned up in that second period for the Oilers to try and turn the momentum in this hockey game. So this power play coming up is vitally, vitally important for the Oilers offense tonight. And ultimately, I mean, how many times do I feel like I talk about the Oilers against the Canadiens just not being a good game? Well, it's, again, par for the course here again tonight as the Oilers look to try and take home the victory. Still, the Canadiens, right? We know what happened against New York. We know what's happened in the previous game between these two teams. This will really determine the game, and ultimately a best period of the game so far from the Oilers being the third period is what it's going to take to win this evening's hockey game as we close in. Friends, on the final bits of it, we're almost to 7 o'clock, right? We got probably about another 55 minutes left in tonight's stream, so do appreciate you being aboard. I'm going to quickly just head upstairs again to take up the dishes and grab a refill on the water bottle, and we'll get back to it here. If you're new to the channel, like I said off the top there a few times in a second, consider hitting that subscribe button. You're watching Dolynny TV. We'll be right back. Never underestimate the value of a good meal during a good hockey live stream. Friends, welcome back. Glad to have you aboard. The Oilers are down 2-0 against the Montreal Canadiens. As we'll see what we can do in this third period. It would be nice to see the Oilers get it going here against the Canadiens in this third period. It would be massive to win this game, obviously. Need, and I mean need, to at least score a goal tonight. My sanity needs it. The Montreal Canadiens and the Edmonton Oilers matchup normally when I live stream does not go the Oilers' way. We have made far more progress in this live stream than we normally do by the time we get to the second period. Normally, I've probably shut it off halfway through the first period because I just can't take the BS from the Oilers. So tonight, victory achieved. So far, we're down 2-0 against the Canadiens after 2 periods of play. The Oilers have a power play here to start the third period. And like I said a moment ago, it is vitally important the Oilers score on this power play. And you watch them roar back to life, I will tell you, it'll be a crazy, crazy goal for the Oilers. The thing here, too, is we've talked about the giveaways, but the Oilers doing a good job blocking shots for Cal Pickard tonight, too. Could be much, much worse if they hadn't blocked some shots. You look at 22 shots for the Canadiens, 10 block shots for the Oilers. Quinn Hudson, by the way, 16 goals, 12 assists in 24 games at the AHL level. He will be an RFA after this season, and the Oilers will likely have him in the NHL lineup come next year. I think there's going to be a lot of turmoil when it comes to, do we re-sign Jack Roslovic? Do we not re-sign Jack Roslovic? That'll be the kind of question that'll be asked kind of once we know what Jack Roslovic fully is by, February when he's back healthy and producing. And I think as well, the Oilers just need to get the job done in terms of developing prospects the right way. So that's where Quinn Hudson is a big part of that. Ike Howard's a big part of that. You see what Ike's done down there in Bakersfield. Again, go check out my Twitter feed if you want to see what Ike Howard put the game on ice last night against Tucson. The Condors, they need some defensemen. They made a trade today to acquire a defenseman, so that's good news for us. And hopefully the Oilers can just start pipelining some really impactful players into the system. I think, there is truth to Nugent Hopkins isn't getting any younger. I think there's truth to Hyman's getting older. McDavid and Draisaitl, kind of like Crosby, I think you can expect them to be timeless. They'll be impact players until the moment they're done. But for the Oilers outside of that, there's some aging pieces on this roster, I think, as well. Matthias Ekholm is going to be another part that might just fade out here over the next few years. You've got Darnell Nurse isn't getting any younger, so you got to start developing not only a top pairing defenseman, but also a second pairing defenseman that'll kind of assume those roles over the next 5 to 6 years. And the Condors, the Oilers, the way they're building the pipeline system now, are starting to doing that. I mean, the Oilers have just prolonged doing that for a long while based on trying to win the Stanley Cup. But now with Stan Bowman, at least the creativity in terms of finding the prospects that can take over for the Oilers in the future is starting to get there. I think, it'll really be interesting to see how the Oilers prioritize one Alec Regula at the end of the year. I think it'll be really interesting to see kind of what the Oilers make up their mind with Ty Amberson, and because that affects Arturo Leppinen, who is going to be a really kind of key piece of the Oilers if he decides to stay in North America after this year. And then I think there's some other guys that you have to look at as well in terms of like Bo Akey, who will continue to percolate in the system for the next year or two. I think there's, not really much else on the defense side other than maybe Asher Barnett for the Oilers in terms of really big names out there that'll be coming down the pipeline over the next few years. But hey, at the end of the day, the Oilers are not nearly in bad as shape prospect-wise as they were a year ago. You got Clattenburg up front, who's really going to be a big piece of the future. I think the Oilers' bottom six, this third line we got, Frederick is about the only guy that's going to be here long-term. I almost wouldn't even be surprised if Mangiapane's dealt during the offseason. Again, similar to Victor Arvidsson, just hasn't quite worked out the way you'd love to. So, that's where we're looking at for the Oilers, is just kind of the pipelines building, and we should be rolling here towards the third period now. Bob and Gene have already had their little talk. That's where the Quinn Hudson thing came from. And now we just got to take a moment here to get ready for this evening's third period of play. And there you have it as well. So it'll be interesting again when we get the next injury update from Chris Knoblauch. But again, I don't have sound. But Quinn Hudson, it would not surprise me if Quinn Hudson gets a look here soon based on how well he's been playing. That, according to Bob Stauffer, during what got us going here for this talk about the Bakersfield Condors and the prospect system. So, shall we do this third period of play? Well, maybe we should. That would be a good idea. The Oilers looking to try and get the job done against the Montreal Canadiens on the power play, down 2-0 to start the third. That's where we find ourselves. Can the Oilers deliver a result that gets the job done? That will be the question here. Friends, we're just about to push 50 likes here on the stream. So if you haven't already left a like on the stream, make sure to do that. Give a big old thumbs up. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here tonight. One of the best watch time durations on the stream so far. So thank you for being aboard. And yeah, let's do this. The Oilers, buckle up, buckle down. Let's get the job done in this third period as they try to walk home a third period, which they had a pretty good one there the last time against the Canadiens at home. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do here against the Canadiens in their barn. McDavid stretching, getting his blades cleaned here by, was Brad Harrison? Brian Harrison? Oh, man, the name gets mentioned all the time at work. Somebody I know knows the Oilers equipment guy, so I should know this. I don't. Mine's blanking. It's all good. Here we go. McDavid, sharpened up. Draisaitl coming over to talk to his buddy. They're going to get 0.1000 for Draisaitl on this power play right here. Mark my words. It's coming. The Oilers, they are far from done in this third period of play before it even gets started. Connor with a big old C on his chest. Jake Evans will take the face-off at center ice. The Habs down a skater, Mike Matheson, trying to figure out what he will do here for the Canadiens on this penalty kill. Let's see what the Oilers can gun up and get going for us. McDavid will start on the wing, Draisaitl the face-off at center ice against Evans, and we are going to see the results speak for themselves, hopefully, on this power play. Like I said, mark my words, Draisaitl gets 0.1000 on this power play here. Well, and if not, the Oilers probably lose this game. $1:46 to go on the power play as the puck is down and the Canadiens win the face-off and whip it out of play off the end wall. The Oilers that is not out of play. The Oilers just took all their time in the world to figure out where that puck went. I don't know. As here's McDavid across the line. He's going to dart into the Canadian zone. The puck played by Nugent Hopkins to a soft area against Matheson, who might not have made the smartest decision to try and play that puck reverse style. And now all of a sudden the Oilers digging along two Canadiens and 3 Oilers in the corner. Manning him down low, gets Draisaitl going here. Draisaitl will look and sift towards the face-off dot. Picked up now. Back to the blue line for Bouchard. Bouchard looking to get it over to McDavid. McDavid sifts it down low to Draisaitl. Draisaitl to the far side. Bouchard not ready for the clapper. McDavid running point. He will draft it over to Mr. Draisaitl, denied on the one-timer. Sorry, I was about to lose my marbles there. But Dobich with another good save. Here's McDavid again. McDavid will spin off a check. McDavid will look down low to Nugent Hopkins. In front for Hyman. Couldn't get the stick down in time. Here's Draisaitl again. Down low to Nugent Hopkins. Nuge off the wall. Near side will go down to Draisaitl. Draisaitl looking. Face-off dot. Tries to jam it in front. It's cleared out by the Canadiens. 25 seconds to go in the power play. The Oilers gunning up a good effort here so far, directing some pucks towards the net and getting things going, as this one will be played there now by McDavid. McDavid across the line, in on net. He will look to go back to the point for Bouchard. It hops his stick. He will collect. The Canadiens couldn't pressure him out of the zone. The shot by Bouchard denied there. Here's Nugent Hopkins, and now you're in a danger territory. The power play has expired. Bouchard, the shot in front, misses wide on the right side of Dobich, and it's cleared out by the Canadiens. Here's Nugent Hopkins recovering against Anderson, losing the battle to Suzuki. Bouchard, the recovery, rim around to the near side. 18 minutes to go in the third period of play. The shot's close, 22-19 for the Canadiens. The Canadiens survive a flurry of activity inside their own zone. Not really shots. Only one on the power play for the Edmonton Oilers there as Henrique will see the Oilers chase back towards their own zone. Icing call upcoming. The Canadiens missed the pass at the blue line. 17:41 to go in the third period of play as McDavid over to Draisaitl, denied by Dolynny, who's been stellar on the man disadvantage tonight. And just a tough go for the Oilers on the power play so far. The 2-minute man advantage for the double penalty, right? Not double minor. It was an actual 2-man advantage for 2 straight minutes on the same sequence. The Oilers just cannot seem to find an answer here for the Canadiens' penalty kill. And this is going to be a redone face-off as Henrique, Frederic, and Janmark out there for the Oilers. I would love to see the fourth line hop the boards here, as this one will be a face-off, one back to the Oilers' blue line. Nurse fires the shot through traffic. It's blocked there by the Canadiens. Anderson shoved down by Frederic. Hard big play on a big man by Frederic. Need to see more of that, as this will be Ekholm firing it around to the far side boards. Canadiens up the gut, will bounce it off of the glass. A weird hop there, a couple of them tonight in Montreal for the Oilers. And that will be a big time hit, and we are going to have a fight here as Anderson and Frederic will get the gloves off. Well, Frederic will. Anderson's just going to keep his gloves on and tie up the collarbone of Frederic. So Frederic was ready to party after throwing Carrier right through the end wall, and now Frederic's going to have to go to the box and deal with this. So this is tough right there. 17-13 to go in this third period of play. Anderson gets roughed up by Frederic, and then Frederic roughs him up and throws the gloves. That's tough right there. I mean, Frederic a healthy shove. Don't get me wrong. It's like maybe Anderson goes down easy, and then Frederic rides out Carrier, and Anderson comes over to talk to him, and Frederic's like, "Let's party, bud." And Anderson, of course, just as he typically does, rather complain about the situation than do anything. Like I said, big dummy. Anderson's not a tough guy. He's a big dummy out there. 2-minute power play. He drew it for the Canadiens. Just kind of, if you're going to come into the aid of your teammate getting run through the end wall, actually throw hands. Don't just glove up a guy that has his gloves off. That's dumb. The NHL fighting code's getting worse by the day. 17-10 to go here in this third period to play. The Canadiens on the power play now get the clear from the Oilers down to Dolynny. There is going to be a big-time game over if the Canadiens score the power play goal right here. Hudson loading out of his own zone. He'll drop back now for Demidov. Demidov skating across now near side. Caulfield at the blue line offside. The Montreal Canadiens are ruled, and we will have a stoppage in play here in this one. 16:50 to go. The Oilers needed that goal on the power play. They didn't get it, and I will tell you, that was tough. That was tough to see. So Curtis Lazar, Nick Suzuki, face-off dot. Suzuki wins it. It's back to Demidov inside his own zone. Buck and a half to go in the power play, as this will be Hudson loading up through his neutral territory skate, and it'll be flipped by him off the bench glass for the Oilers and out of play here in this third period. Things are slowing up on this Montreal power play. 22-20 the shots on goal for the Canadiens. So the Oilers desperately just need to start handling the puck a little bit better for themselves, and then maybe things will start turning the tide a little bit here as the Canadiens at center ice win the face-off against Nugent-Hopkins. Hudson back with the puck. He will look to go back to Demidov again, and the Canadiens will try this old trick one more time, leaving it, guiding it over to Suzuki to Caulfield. Now back to Hudson, far side. Here's the shot loading at the side of the net is Suzuki. Banked off him, back of the net, power play goal. Special teams, your difference tonight. 16:22 to go, 3-0 Montreal, third period. You got to be kidding me. This is par for the course. Not shocked. Again, I understand from an Edmonton Oilers fan perspective that this was not going to be an easy win, as one would say, just simply because you're on the back half of back-to-back and you never play well in Montreal, and now you're down 3-0 in the third period. So the Montreal Canadiens just basically sleeper it in the first period, and have finished off the Oilers. I think I really doubt the way the Oilers have played tonight that they're coming back 3 goals in the next 16 minutes. So we'll see what happens here. 16:22 to go in this third period. The puck in behind Dolynny now, 9th of the season for Nick Suzuki, as this one will be fired to the far sideboards. Demidov across the line, tap back to the blue line. Slavkovsky and Hudson picked up as this will be across and carried there by the Montreal Canadiens along the wall. The Oilers tied up a brief moment. It'll be worked out now across the Oilers line into the offensive zone for the Canadiens. Back along the wall. And this will be fired back into Oilers territory. Pickard to Spencer Stastny, who he's been a little bit of a bright spot tonight as well. He's worked off the puck, but McDavid now flying. McDavid's got the Jets on. McDavid across the line. He's poke check back to the neutral zone. Typical. 15:30 to go here in this third period play. 3 goals, 23 shots for the Canadiens, and somehow Pickard is the reason the score is not worse. That's a tough look again for the Oilers, who just again can't seem to get that save percentage from the goaltenders, creeping up over 900. Bouchard, a shot off Dobish, goes wide off the blocker of Dobish, and puck goes off a glove of a Canadian on the bench, so we'll have a stoppage in play. So this is, oh man, this is tough to watch from an Edmonton perspective here. Hopefully things go according to plan here the rest of the way, and the Oilers at least get on the goals column somewhat, as we'll see if the Oilers can muster up an effort here. They've really sucked the winds out of my sails here, and I think if anyone's watched me live stream the Montreal Canadiens before, I've made enough comments to possibly allude to what I'm talking about as to why it does that to me. 15:13 to go in this third period of play. Oilers win the faceoff back, take control for a brief moment. Matheson kicks it free. I can't wait to go watch Landman tonight. That'll be the best part of Sunday night, as it often usually is. 15:03 to go in this third period now, as the Canadiens just have to bleed clock the rest of the way. This is a goal, or this is a lead they can sit back on with this much time on the clock, the way the Oilers have played tonight. The puck through the middle of the ice, picked off again by Matheson. This one coming back to the middle of the ice to the far side, Anderson. And this will come back to the near side blue line, and Ekholm will fire to the middle of the ice. The Canadiens will bounce off the wall. Bouchard into the bench. That's 3 pucks into the bench in the last 2 minutes. So that is tough. So we'll see what the Oilers can do here the rest of the way. Obviously, nothing's done yet. The Oilers are down 3-1, 3-0, and all it takes is 1. It's kind of what I used to yell at the lacrosse players I was covering back in the day. I was the whole Homer broadcaster, right? No lacrosse in the region, we'll yell for the boys. 14:34 here in this third period of play. Engstrom getting it going to the far side boards. Emberson sees it tap back to the blue line. Engstrom will just fire it off the wall. Spencer Stastny there with the puck. That'll take some getting used to having a new guy on the back end. And this puck works out to the blue line, where worked down by Veleno, turned back by Henrique to the middle of the ice, and Stastny will bounce it off the boards. Up the ice it goes. The Oilers trying to get free. Here's Henrique. Henrique with Janmark and Emberson. Over to Emberson it goes. He'll just chop it off a Canadiens player to the near side corner. 14 minutes remaining, and the Oilers just cannot seem to get anything started inside Canadiens territory. Spencer Stastny with the puck in behind his own net again. He'll skate out from in behind. He'll lose the puck. That's par for the course as well. Tips as it goes here. 23-21. The shots on net. The Oilers will take over with Regula behind the net. Line changes getting completed here. Close-up camera being used quite substantially there by the Oilers broadcast crew, as this will be Lazar in the fourth line taking over for the Oilers. We love them. They've been great so far here tonight, and we'll see if they can continue that. 13:30 to go across the line. Montreal forces in behind the Oilers net. Suzuki to the near side against Caulfield. Back to the blue line. Hudson now picked up by the Canadiens again. The shot off of Pickard, blockered away. 85 miles an hour. You'll love to see it. So Dobish has been probably the best goaltending performance we've seen against the Oilers in a little while, that's for sure. And hey, you know what? Credit to the Habs. I'm not discrediting the Habs here. They have played damn near a perfect game so far against the Edmonton Oilers, as it's just kind of what it is for sure. So it's interesting to see again that, you know, the Habs have given up a ton of goals, but usually when you play a team that gives up a ton of goals, for some reason the Oilers seem to forget to score goals. So They're really good against the teams that are either middle of the pack or pretty good, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they start not really scoring goals against the teams they should. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here as it continues on into commercial break. Right now, the Oilers obviously, if you can tie this, take it to overtime and force at least a point, that's massive. Again, like I said, you want to finish this road trip 2-2-1 at worst. 3-1-1 would be great. 3-0-2 would be better. 4 and anything would be amazing. So we'll see what the Oilers can do here. But we'll see what they can do here. It'll be a tough go, obviously. It'll be a tough go because the way Dolynny has played and where the Oilers are at. Friends, again, I might lose some of you here as the game gets worn on and the Oilers start finishing up here. So if you are new to the channel, again, Dolynny TV talks about the Oilers all day, every day for the most part. And then there's some other random stuff thrown in there just to, get the views. So definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Hit of the game. What's that one going to be? I don't know if I've caught anything that's hit of the game so far for the Oilers tonight. It's Bouchard on Veleno. Hey, yeah, that was, I think, the start of the game, wasn't it? Bouchard just turfed Veleno there behind the net, and that's something you don't usually see, Bouchard using the body that way, and glad to see it out of him tonight. 16-13 the hits for the Canadiens. You know how often the Oilers, after the back half of a back-to-back, don't like to use the body, so that's welcome news for us, as we've at least used it 10 times, as this will be worked around to the near side boards. Oilers territory picked up by Darnell Nurse. Nurse coming across the line. He will get it into Carrier behind the net for the Canadiens. Cleared out to Regula, neutral zone. 13:01 to go in the third period of play as it's fired back into Oilers territory. Lands right in front of Darnell Nurse's peripheral vision. He'll pick it up, get it over to Savoy. Draisaitl trying to pick this one up across to the far side. Nurse across the line now for Podkolzin. Podkolzin spins back to the blue line for Nurse. It's kept on side over near side for Draisaitl the front of the net, as this will be to the far side as it's picked up there back to the blue line. Again, shot towards the net. It goes wide there from the Oilers and picked up now by Suzuki. 12:29 to go in this third period of play. Nurse will battle along the wall there against Suzuki and ultimately deke him out, as this will be Regula battling free of anyone, just flipping it in on Dolynny and stopping the puck right there. So stoppage in play with 12:14 to go. We will see what the Oilers can do on an offensive zone face-off. That is going to be the question here. And this will be a question as to if the Oilers can control the face-off and go in, score a goal right here. It's a good spot. Just a do-nothing stoppage of play by Dolynny because of a puck thrown towards the net. So there will be a face-off with McDavid against Evans. 12:14 to go. Third period. Puck's one back to the blue line. It can't be kept by Bouchard, so cleared out by the Canadiens, and Ekholm forced to reload behind his own net. 12:04 to go in this third period to play. 24:21 to go across the line. Ekholm will fire around to the near side boards. McDavid back to the blue line for Bouchard. Bouchard sifts a shot on net, and Dolynny kicks it just to the side on a non-waiting Canadian stick. Habs able to clear it out. Here's 11:46 on the clock with McDavid just jutting that puck into the zone. I mean, he just absolutely diced into the corner. 11:38 to go. The Canadiens get the clear again, and this one will be along the end wall, picked up by Bouchard, and this will be over to the far side. Ekholm will load up into the middle of the ice in the Canadiens' territory, and this will be battled there freely by the Canadiens. Slafkovsky fires it off the end wall. Spencer Stastny trying to battle that one free. He's got a battle with Slafkovsky and Emberson now. 11:07 to go here in this third period of play. Picked up by Frederick. Over the line, it'll be Henrique. Henrique will go to the far side for Stastny, who's up on the rush here. He gets sealed off the wall rather easily, though. Puck scrambles up behind the net. Henrique gets it to the front. Here's the end mark. Shot saved by Dolynny. What a save there to keep it 3-0 for the Canadiens. 10:49 to go in this third period. And that's the thing, right? You're now in desperate need of 3 goals, and it's just kind of make it respectable by scoring 1 for the Oilers. So we'll see what happens. Dolynny gets going. with another big slide out save. He comes out, challenges, and Janmark just can't pick that high corner. So that was a great goal there, and Janmark just a solid shot. Janmark's 5 points, 12:34 ice time. And he's had a pretty good night tonight. 10:49 to go as this will be worked back off the draw by Mangiapane. The Oilers keep alive in the offensive zone. Max Jones battling off the end wall. Will try and free this puck up for Mangiapane. Does. Mangy off the wall there. He's still battling. He's still going. He's got the puck over to Stastny. Stastny drifts down low. This fourth line has had something all night. Not by, no more than any other Oilers line, but probably about the bright spot in terms of work ethic tonight for the Oilers inside the offensive zone, out of people that you don't usually get offensive zone presence from. So 10:17 to go here in the third period as the puck battles off the wall. Max Jones reverses down low. Struble under duress from Mangiapane. Lazar comes in to support. Mangiapane freed that puck up, and now all of a sudden the Oilers in front. Another shot towards the net, swallowed up by the Canadiens defense in front. Here's Emerson near side for Lazar. This fourth line has been absolutely brilliant. Mangiapane's taken down in front. Struble gets away with it. 9:53 to go here as it'll be picked up by McDavid, who's dancing in the middle of the ice, keeps the puck alive, and then at least it's control for the Oilers nonetheless as it goes all the way down to Pickard. 24-23, the shots on goal. Draisaitl spins this puck. It'll be turned over, and then Bouchard recovers and promptly turns it back over, and then Ekholm recovers, and he will get it over to Bouchard near side. Puck's tipped out of the zone, coming away with it. Here's Draisaitl and McDavid together again. Draisaitl on to McDavid, on to Hyman, on to Bouchard, and he's got control left side point. Bouchard over to McDavid. McDavid will load up. Draisaitl, a one-timer from high point, blocked there by a Montreal Canadiens player who looks a little stung by it. 9 minutes to go. The Oilers need 3 goals in 3-minute chunks, I guess to say, as McDavid's just going to help this one along down to Dobish, who's been active behind his own net tonight. The Oilers kind of with those weird dumps as well. And then Dobish scores one of his own guys in the face with the puck. And it'll be a wall puck here. The Oilers come up with it towards the net, back behind for McDavid. McDavid will bounce back to the blue line. Bouchard, watch for the big guys to get a lot of time here. McDavid towards the net, still with the puck, spins it back to Draisaitl. Draisaitl will go over to McDavid again. The boys playing pitch and catch. 28 seconds of zone time so far. Draisaitl with the puck looking for .1000. McDavid back to a Draisaitl blind backhand pass that cost a goal earlier. Causes a turnover here. 8:20 to go, and it looks like a 2-on-1 for the Canadiens. Stopped by Ekholm, trying to break away from Bouchard was Texier. And the camera gets somewhat confused here. 26 shots now for the Montreal Canadiens. Only 23 for the Oilers, who are still shut out to this point. Here's Nugent-Hopkins over to Regula. Regula gets it down along the wall. It'll be an offside on the Oilers with 8:02 to go here in this one. Tough goal right there. So the Oilers continuing to try, but not really getting the results for it. Friends, again, if you are tuning in first time, I'm going to keep promoting this because we got a big milestone to hit during the World Juniors. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Closing in on 18,500 here on the channel. That number means nothing other than it's a mad dash, another 1,500 to 20 grand, and away we go, getting the World Juniors to be a big milestone here on the channel. It was about 3 years ago, I want to say at this point, 2 years ago at this point, somewhere around there, that I hit 10,000 in January, February. I'd have to check the plaque, so definitely consider doing that for me if you can. So as well, if you haven't already left a like on the stream, we're up over 54. I think we can finish tonight's live stream with 75, so if you haven't left a like on the button yet, definitely get that going. As the Oilers, I mean, tough part is they haven't played absolutely awful. The giveaways have been a problem, which we talked about, and Dobish has stood on his head so far tonight. So we'll see what happens here for the Oilers, but again, this continues to be a good stretch of games for the Oilers, and it's when all of a sudden this Montreal game goes into a Penguins game, goes into the game after that, and instead of looking at a 3-game win streak, now you're looking at a 3-game losing streak. That's what the Oilers have to avoid, and any kind of goal scoring here tonight would be a big-time difference in getting that done here for the Oilers against the Canadiens. And I mean, it's not even going to be a win. I'm like I told you, if we didn't score off that power play off the hop, the chance of winning tonight were slim to none. But what I will say is if you score a goal at least tonight and then you go into Pittsburgh, you should have a chance to, kind of right yourself. Connor McDavid always likes to elevate his game against Crosby. So if he goes quietly into the night tonight, expect a big night the next night out. That's typically how it works. So we'll see how it goes for the Oilers here against the Canadiens. And the tough part is the 3-0 goal lead for the Canadiens is not at all on Calvin Pickard. Some really bad plays by the Oilers. And you just got to think here, Pickard comes up with an effort that even on 3 goals, 26 shots will improve his save percentage, will improve his goals against average. So despite what I was saying about 2 goals and 20 shots, you're going to have something better from Pickard than average so far. So we'll see how this goes. As Demidov will go off for high stick in the Oilers. We'll see if they can get rolling on the power play. Again, we know whatever you want to make of it as a Habs fan the last time out, that the refs took over the game late and the Oilers were able to win because of that. The Oilers are on the power play again, 0 for 4 tonight though, so see how this goes. As this is where we're going to get going as Draisaitl off the draw, 1 back by the Canadiens, 7:55 to go here in the third period of play. McDavid near side picks up the puck. He'll rally up for Bouchard. Bouchard with 7:47 on the clock in the game as the Oilers desperately need a result here in this power play window. And like I said, it's just to save face and not be shut out really is all you're trying to achieve right now. McDavid back to Bouchard, the shot through traffic, the goal from Hyman, and the Oilers have life. They have life, and I think that's Draisaitl's 1,000th point. I think that's Draisaitl's 1,000th point. As Leon Draisaitl will go to the bench and tap the boys. Any other kind of goal there would have been a bigger celebration from Draisaitl, but Draisaitl loads it back to Bouchard. Or no, he doesn't. No, I don't. Actually, I think it was McDavid that got it there. So I don't think Draisaitl got his 1,000th point on that goal. Okay, never mind. Sorry, false alarm. It was Draisaitl over to the corner that got the pass up to Bouchard. I wasn't fully paying attention. And that's Hyman that shovels home the goal for the Oilers. So for the time being, the Oilers have life with 7:31 to go here in this third period of play. Well, let's see what happens as this will be picked up by the Oilers. I gotta really see how they scored that goal because, they're saying Connor McDavid got it, so never mind. So Hyman from McDavid and Bouchard. That's my fault. Sorry for the false alarm, folks. McDavid's 34th and Bouchard's 25th. Here's Ekholm down in the alley. Oh my goodness, right down the middle of the slot. Fired that one up over top of Dobish. As this one will be back to the middle. Bouchard battled there by Slafkovsky. 7:01 to go in the third period of play as Bouchard battling Slafkovsky behind the net. And the Oilers' mad dash to try and tie this game and take it to overtime starts now. 6:52 to go. Again, that's the bipolar nature of being an Oilers fan. I know that well. You've heard the talks here on the channel during Bell Let's Talk years, but it'll be an icing call against Montreal. And with 6:44 to go, the Oilers are just looking for 2 more. And you've saved face. The nice part is Dobish doesn't get the shutout. No matter how awful you were with the turnovers, Dobish doesn't get the shutout. So, and again, maybe to the people that have been saying Montreal collapses late, maybe there's life, probably not, who knows. 6:44 to go, 26-25, the shots on goal in favor of the Canadiens for the time being. As the Canadiens off the draw will fire that down the length of the ice. That will be another icing call there. And the Canadiens suddenly, after that power play goal, taking on a little bit of water here inside their own zone. And we'll see if the Oilers can capitalize on that. So, overtime would be electric. Don't kid me wrong there. I'd love to see a little bit of overtime tonight. And the Oilers getting a point out of this game would be fantastic. The chances of that happening are slim to none. So, we'll see what happens as this one comes back to the blue line. The shot towards the net blocked by Dobish again. Regula with the third line on the ice. They've seen some ice time tonight given the fact that it's a back-to-back. This will be battled to the near side boards as this will be picked up and fired out into the neutral zone. Here's the Canadiens across the line. The Oilers picking it up. Regula will fire to the near side boards. Frederick will lose the puck, and here comes Texier. Texier down the wing. He will fire the shot and beat Pickard clean. 4-1 Montreal, just like that. The next shot from the Canadiens ends up going in the back of the net. Dang, 6:08 in the third period, 27 shots. So the Oilers had made it respectable there for a second, and ultimately right there on the next Canadian shot, give up the goal that leads it to be 4-1. It is what it is. I mean, the Oilers, like I said, my game tonight was just hoping for a goal, not to be shut out, and at least that's the case here. As Pickard just, I mean, Texier is a hell of a shooter. We'll say that, but Pickard's got to stop that puck. I think he's got to stop that puck, if I'm not mistaken. That's not a goal you can be really allowing at this point of the third period. So here we go. Over to the far side, it'll be Spencer Stastny with the puck. Canadians really a top 10 team in scoring this year, but the Oilers were outscoring them coming into the game on average, and the Oilers just kind of go quietly into the night so far. Second this season from Texier. Struble gets the assist. And that was a lost battle by Frederick that leads to a wing rush from Texier. Puck's inside the neutral zone. 5:45 to go here. Emerson's going to fire the shot down to the far side. This will be Mangiapane. Picked up. The Canadians will fire back into the Oilers' territory here. This will be Emerson with the puck. He will bring it up for Podkolzin to the middle of the ice. Over to the far side, McDavid. He's got the puck alongside Mangiapane and Podkolzin, who head for changes. McDavid will load up with Draisaitl still looking for his 1,000th point, as this will be Bouchard with the puck, spinning off the effects of Jake Evans. Bouchard to the far side, gets the puck across the line thanks to the tip of the stick of Zach Hyman. Battling there, it's Pittsburgh and the Oilers on Tuesday night, by the way. I will not be live, given the fact that that game's 5 p.m. Mountain, and I got a long drive home after Tuesday at work. So 4:55 to go here in the third period, 27-25. The shots on goal. Oilers whipping around in the Montreal zone. Bouchard looking to try and get this one at all interesting to 4-2. But I think the Canadians have done a good job mopping up duty tonight. And we will have a stoppage in play with under 5 minutes to go. 4-1 the score for the Montreal Canadiens. Friends, again, what I will tell you, if you're new to Dolynny TV, hopefully the Oilers can win on Tuesday. We'll have a video out tomorrow morning, whether it's be the next day edition or whatever you want to call it. It'll probably be a little bit geared towards what has to go right against Pittsburgh and basically talking about what went wrong against Montreal. So definitely, if you want to tune into that, consider hitting that subscribe button. And quickly, if you haven't already left a like on the stream, friends, I know the Oilers kind of disappointed us with the result here tonight, but just about nearing 60 likes on tonight's stream. So we are getting close to the job done here for the Montreal Canadiens tonight, and a win for the Canadiens that keeps them in pace in the Atlantic Division. That Atlantic Division is an absolute mess. That's really the only way to put it. So we'll see how this all shakes out. For everybody involved, right? Like Toronto's near the bottom, Florida's near the bottom last I checked. You got Montreal, Detroit riding high. There's a lot going on there for the Atlantic Division this year. And hey, at the end of the day, it's good to have some weird division races that you normally wouldn't. So I'm glad for it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see. We'll see if the Oilers can get the job done here. That's another goal. Another goal would be nice. 4:38 to go in this third period to play. 4-1 the lead for the Montreal Canadiens. Play of the game. It's going to be the power play snipe from Demidov that really just got this game going for the Canadiens, and it's a rife job over top of Calvin Pickard's shoulder. And we'll see how it goes for the Oilers the rest of the way here. So let's see what the Oilers can do with 5-ish minutes to go in the third period. Back to the blue line. Here's McDavid off the face-off. The Oilers are going to go empty net. Shot by Bouchard again. Padded out by Dobish, who has just had that great outstretched pad all night. And here's Slafkovsky to ice it with the empty netter. Oh my goodness, what a defensive effort from Connor McDavid. And he's going to take the puck back the other way. Here we go. The Oilers in on the attack across the line. Podkolzin, the shot bounces freely out of the zone off a couple of Montreal Canadiens. What a sequence. Slafkovsky is going to ice the game 5-1, and then all of a sudden McDavid comes back with an effort that you don't usually see McDavid make. And here's Podkolzin trying to free that one up along the wall. Hyman trying to push that one free, and the Canadiens will fire it down the length of the ice for an icing call with 3:59 to go. The Oilers choose to go empty net style and almost cost them right away, and somehow, some way, Connor McDavid able to avoid that one. So you can't say this game hasn't been full of life. The Oilers went quiet in the second period, and that's ultimately why they're going to lose this one. But what an effort here so far from the Oilers to at least on the back half of a back-to-back use use their time wisely to make it interesting for us to watch. Here we go. Draisaitl wins the face-off back to McDavid. McDavid fires the shot. Blocked in front. Here now, Matthias Ekholm. Ekholm over to Bouchard. Bouchard back over to Ekholm. Back to McDavid. 3:44 to go as the Oilers need to start pounding shots on goal here and fast. Draisaitl fires the shot. Save made by the Canadiens. Fired down the length of the ice. It'll bounce on the way out of the zone, in behind the net. Bouchard picks that one up rather lackadaisically. And this one will be picked up now by McDavid across the line. Turning it there. Draisaitl back to the blue line for Bouchard. Over to Ekholm. Ekholm to Draisaitl. Draisaitl fires in front. It goes wide of the net. Maybe an incidental idea there by Draisaitl to try and find the tape of McDavid if the shot on net wasn't available. Here's Ekholm back over to McDavid. McDavid over to Draisaitl. Tipped away from him by the defensive, I think, Joe Veleno. Here's Bouchard at the blue line, skating the line. He'll bounce it off the wall. The Canadiens will fail to clear again. Ekholm down low. The Oilers need to get a shot here. They are dominating zone possession, but they need to get a shot on net. And that one bounces over top of the head of Dobish. Back to the blue line. Bouchard keeps it alive again. Bouchard to Ekholm. Far side wing to McDavid. Over to Draisaitl. Queuing up the one-timer. Couldn't get it as Draisaitl sees it tapped away by Veleno. Back to the blue line. Hyman to Bouchard. Bouchard over to Draisaitl. Oilers still need to get some shots on net here. Pass in front. Oh, stretch was Dobish in the pass. Never found McDavid accurately. He'll go down length of the ice for another icing call here. And it will be a timeout situation, I believe, for the Edmonton Oilers. Or a Montreal timeout. Not sure. As that was a flurry of action there for the Oilers. But they just still couldn't find a way to get a shot on Dobish, which has been a struggle. And here's the shot off of the shoulder of Zach Hyman, an eyelash away from going in under the crossbar. As we are going to get this going here for another face-off, a win for the Oilers. Nurse looking in front. How big would depth scoring be here? Shot right in front of the crease. Dobish has the puck, and he will freeze it again. And now we're going to have a scrum in the crease as Frederic and Mangiapane grab hold of their friends there from earlier in the game. 4-1 Montreal leads. 2:10 to go here in this one, as this one will be an opportunity to try and get things dusted up a little bit. Maybe a power play for the Oilers. As 2:10 to go in this third period of play. And I mean, come on guys, let's cut out the stuff going on in the chat, as this will be 2:10 to go in the third period. Empty net still remaining for the Oilers. 4-1 the lead for Montreal. 28-27 now the shots on net for the Oilers, so they will ultimately have the shots on net advantage probably by the end of this game. But the question is, can they get the job done? And are we reviewing this goal, or what are we doing here? No, I think Dobish made that save all day. I don't think there's anything to really be argued there. Let's see what we do. 28-27. big boys are back on the ice here. This game's taking its sweet time finishing up. Shot there by the Oilers goes wide of Dobisch's glove hand as Draisaitl spinning off the check, goes down low to Nugent Hopkins, near side corner. Nuge back to the blue line for Bouchard, who kept it onside. $1:56 to go. McDavid right in front, jamming away. Hyman, Podkolzin can't find it, over to McDavid. It goes. And this will be now Nugent Hopkins spun off the puck. Draisaitl engages battle down low. Oilers are not going quiet into the night here, actually. They are continuing to go empty net style. $1:40 to go. 4-1 the lead for Montreal. Bouchard over to Draisaitl. The shot takes a funny hop after it goes wide and ends up over top of the net as McDavid will look to battle there. He loses it to Carrier. Draisaitl has it hop and elude him. And this one will come back all the way into Montreal territory. Bouchard against the Canadiens gets it loaded up there for Nugent Hopkins. $1:14 to go in this third period of play. 28-27 to go. The shots tonight for the Oilers, that likely will be the lead the rest of the way home. The Canadiens fire it down the length of the ice. One last icing call here against Montreal with a minute to go this evening. So interesting to see the Canadiens just can't seem to escape their zone here late, but Dobisch continues to be the story for the Oilers and the Montreal Canadiens. And just at some point it would be nice to see the Oilers, when they get in tight, start just cashing goal after goal after goal in tight. And they just, haven't had that necessarily. Zach Hyman's starting to get back to regular form, and eventually it'll start channeling for the Oilers. But Draisaitl playing 25-55 tonight. Little to no excuse for that, as the Oilers just fall down 4-1 very which way, and this one will be off the end wall. Henrique along the wall, empty net still for the Oilers. This will be picked up by Mangiapane back to the blue line. Ekholm fires it up over top. 40 seconds to go here in the third period of play. And this one will be fired into the neutral zone and out of play, it looks like, with 36.6 seconds to go. So 28-27. Oilers end up with the shot lead. How are the giveaways looking here? Giveaways, where are we at? Yeah, the Oilers end up 20-17 the giveaways. So that's kind of what it is there for the Oilers. Calvin Pickard back in net. 4 goals on 27 shots. Somehow an improvement for him tonight. If you would believe it, that's an improvement for Pickard. Honestly, I'm sure of it. We'll check post-game. But 28-25 the face-offs. Canadiens have come up with the effort to win a hockey game. And that's where it is. So we'll see how it goes with 36.6 seconds to go here in this third period. Man, I know what the audience range of my audience is. I like, my audience is 20% 35 and under. So grown men and women acting the way they are tonight in the chat, absolutely ridiculous. 26.6 seconds to go in the third period. 4-1 the lead, and the Canadiens have almost iced it. 21 seconds to go here in this third period. Mercifully, it should end soon. In this last 5 minutes, just good for the Oilers, but not good enough to get anything done, as the Habs fans are having fun with it in the building. 7-8-1 home record this season. Back behind the net, Stastny picks it up for the Oilers. He'll lead on for Podkolzin, who will just take his man down into the neutral zone. Stastny tries to get it going in a forward manner. 8 seconds remaining in the third period, and that will finish it here in the third period of play. There you have it. 4-1, the final for the Montreal Canadiens. And that is all you got for the Oilers. A goal. We go to Pittsburgh on Tuesday, and we'll see how that shakes out. Friends, thanks for being aboard here tonight on Dolynny TV. Like I said, if you're heading out, consider hitting that subscribe button. Appreciate you being aboard here tonight. For me, we move on to having full dinner, and then we move on to having scalloped potatoes. So we'll get going for a good meal, and we'll get going for a good night. Thanks for being aboard, friends. Appreciate you hanging out. That will do it. The Oilers lose 4-1 to the Montreal